What's going on, guys? What? Oh, I need to make that smaller. There we go. What's up, man? Shit. What's going on over here? So, we're watching. I spent 1 week watching the Young Turks at Hassan Uncle's. It gave me more brainworms than RFK Jr. All right, man. Let's see what this is about, dude. I love shitting on the Young Turks, dude. Let me guess. It's the billionaire donor class. It's Israel's fault. There's another one. Oh, they mostly talk shit on Democrats. Let's see.
On a national level, we have lost our democracy. It does not exist.
So I got really bad news for you. None of your representatives represent you. They represent the people who pay them. Yes, the Republicans are dirty and corrupt as it gets, but so are the Democrats.
How about the guy who promised us change? How's that working out for us? He said, I'm going to change the game. Really? What have you done to change the game? No. He has no intention of changing a damn thing. So you're waiting for a hero? Well, we already had a hero who promised us overwhelming change and then gave us nothing. Now, the next guy that comes and puts that sign up that says change, you're gonna believe him? No, we're not gonna believe him because 9 out of 10, no, 99 out of 10 times he's a liar. He got money to lie to you. You cannot rely on the federal government. They're the bad guys. They're not listening. You think we're having a debate in this country?
Well, before I never entertained the idea that 9/11 was anything but what the government said.
Right. I'm not running around saying 9/11 was an inside job. I don't know.
What are we doing here? At some point I want to just make a video where I rank Adam Sandler movies or something, but then someone says something like,
I don't know.
And I just... Everything's off the bat. 1, the response I've gotten is absolutely incredible. I expected to get maybe 50 views on my first Hassan vid, and the idea that not only over 100,000 people have watched this, but that they actually liked it and wanted more is insane to me. Thank you so much. 2, I started a Patreon. Right now I'm still new and learning, so I can't promise a whole lot, but this would help me focus more of my time on these videos and improve the quality. No obligation. I'm still gonna try to make more videos either way. 3, how do I feel about the CEO of Twitch being called in front of Congress? Honestly, not great. The Republican majority in Congress has taken the legitimate issue of anti-Semitism on Twitch and YouTube and twisted it into a crusade against their own enemies. If they manage to get Hassan banned that way, it
What's up, Nikki?
won't be a victory. To borrow an adjective, using the brittle power of authority to force Twitch's hand without any kind of cultural shift or structural change beyond it means that once their authority is broken, there's nothing holding back a reversion to where we started. The way I see it, the only way through that has a lasting impact is Dan Clancy banning Hassan himself. Now, the Young Turks will tell you repeatedly, incessantly, that they operate on principles of honesty and integrity, but then you'll hear something like,
I don't know.
and you have to wonder, what's going on? They've got over 6 million YouTube subscribers. They've been operating on YouTube near enough since the site was founded, when Cenk Uygur started posting videos and streaming in 2005. They've expanded the number of shows under their umbrella, and they've been a hotspot for a lot of well-known progressive and leftist journalists like Emma Vigeland, now at the Majority Report.
Who cares if Hezbollah has money? They're a political party in a different country. I mean, you can call them a terrorist organization. They're a resistance organization towards Israel, and I'm sure if I were to parse through the views of this resistance group, that I would find many of their views distasteful.
Ryan Grimm, owner of Dropsite News.
Hamas is, savage, brutal, bunch of savage, brutal rapists. But don't say evidence, because then you'll say, well, what evidence do we have? According to the UN, they don't actually have any evidence that Hamas participated.
Are we then of the opinion that maybe a couple sexually related violence happened and then Israel is largely fabricating the claim?
Well, I mean, we know for certain that much of it is fabricated.
Crystal Ball's husband, Jimmy Dore, Sean King, Nina Turner, Russian mouthpiece Dave Rubin, and Cenk's own nephew.
fuck are you gonna do, bro?
To their credit, their operation is a lot more professional news-like than a regular stream, though that isn't exactly a high bar. You'll get a specific piece of news and a basic overview of the facts before Jank and his co-host.
Yeah, my girlfriend will be home around like 11 or no 12 something. We're gonna have lunch, and then by the time that's done, Ren's thing should be coming out. So I should be live streaming after that.
And Kasparian get into their own perspectives, basically acting as anchor and pundit. It seems like they really vie for legitimacy.
I don't know.
And I do want to know, so I watched 1 week of streams, and I'm going to tell you what I learned. And since their main show is only a couple of hours long, hopefully this will be a bit more easygoing than my last 2 subjects. One last thing, I promise this won't be a series exclusively about left-leaning media. It's not like Asmongold is actively streaming right now anyway. We begin the day after Charlie Kirk's murder, while the killer and their ideology still haven't been identified.
Yeah, so this is super strange. They very rarely go on a rooftop, plan it out meticulously.
Of course, looking back, knowing what we do now, it's easy to say that someone's prediction was obviously wrong. But we're not going to have that problem.
No, none of this looks like an amateur. If they catch him and we find out a rational explanation, no problem. Great, that's awesome. If they don't catch him,
we will pull out the world map and speculate wildly.
You're telling me one shot makes a clean getaway and he wasn't a professional?
Professional assassins in the vein Jank is talking about don't actually exist, especially ones that would target someone high profile in a Western country.
This investigation so far has been abysmal. That also, of course, furthers some conspiratorial thoughts.
I don't trust our government at all anymore. That's weird. That's also weird. We couldn't find any trace of him except this rifle and then the casings, and it says transgender and Antifa. And then the New York Times says, oh, by the way, that might not be true at all. What the F is going on here? Kash Patel, yeah, sure, he's a clown. He also weirdly took off the lead FBI person in Salt Lake City just a little while back. That's super weird.
Kash Patel is uniquely unqualified to run the FBI, and like most of the federal...
I'm only 2 days of my new meds, and I don't know what to expect from ADHD gremlins in my Swiss cheese brain tissues. Nikki is purple and I am green on your chat screen. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know what sets those colors. That's crazy, actually.
Government since January 20th, the FBI has been purged of anyone who has shown even a trace of antipathy towards Trump. But conspiracies, like what Jank is not so subtly alluding to, requires way too many people at all levels, including state and local, to be involved, and by that point it's impossible to actually pull off. What we all witnessed at the time was not a potential cover-up, it was 1,000 different people, mostly outside the government, trying to get ahead of whatever the truth turned out to be.
This isn't the 1960s. You're not going to be able to go, oh yeah, there was a magic bullet. Yeah, a bunch of senators looked into it. It's not even 9/11. Oh yeah, a bunch of senators looked into it.
Oh goody, we're doing JFK conspiracies too. And then we get our first ad break for TYT sponsors Prize Picks and Chapter. More on them later. We come back to more conspiracy? Maybe?
Remember, there's many different countries that would love to sow division and hatred in this country. I mean, I wrote on social media today, they should double Trump's Secret Service. If you hit Trump, there's going to be an uncontrollable rage in this country.
It's not really worth explaining that doubling Trump's Secret Service doesn't just equal twice as protected, but we've now extrapolated from Charlie Kirk getting shot in Utah that someone is going to take a shot at Trump on the other side of the country. And now we begin the whitewashing of Charlie Kirk and the both sidesing of political violence.
A bunch of Republicans saying, oh, Charlie would have wanted you to limit freedom of speech. No, I don't think he would have.
Just want to note that political violence has unfortunately harmed people on both sides of the political aisle. The rhetoric used on both sides of the political aisle can get fiery.
It's very weird, yeah.
Like that only exists on the left is a bit ridiculous.
Anna has an interesting interpretation of Trump's rhetoric.
Trump kind of ebbs and flows. You'll hear him say things that I believe, as president of the United States, is incredibly responsible at a time when a leader should be trying to cool tensions. This morning, Trump kind of changed his tone in a private message to CNBC's Joe Kernan.
Is it worth noting that a CNBC financial news host read a note that was contradicted by the president himself?
Investigation mode. Anyway?
It would be nice to hear that message directly from the president's mouth.
I thought not.
Actually, later today, Trump changed his tone.
Got a window open, man. That's a nice chill right there.
Kirk was not someone who was on the far right. Okay. In fact, He had a pretty significant group.
No, Charlie Kirk was not on the far right. He just, wrestled with far right ideas, man. It's crazy. I mean, Charlie Kirk was not the worst of them, man. It was worse that it happened to Charlie Kirk over like Nick Fuentes or some of these people. But yeah, dude, what the fuck? Charlie Kirk was not a saint, dude. Like it's crazy. He was significantly further right than the party was a handful of years ago. Whispering Nazi rhetoric and shit.
Group of haters who were on the right of him.
That's not evidence that he isn't far right. That just means that there are people who don't have a problem being more direct about it. The difference between saying,
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
And
Hassan, Destiny, hey idiots, this Zionist-backed Republican government, they're waiting, they're begging for the opportunity, for a reason to wipe the far left off the map, because the leftists protest Israel. Instead, like your uncle, of recognizing that.
Wait, no, bad example, he agrees with you.
Which is, inspiring some public figures on the right to declare that we're at war, that they're at war with the left.
Interesting slip there.
I don't know. The rhetoric I'm hearing is really scary.
So the answer to that isn't, it's the left's fault, it's the right's fault. That should be obvious to all of us, but I don't think it's even close to obvious.
Jank reads a viewer comment about George W. Bush.
But the one thing I'll always give him credit for is that he united us after 9/11.
I wanted to reflexively disagree with this one because my memories of the Bush era are somewhat blurry at this point. But
our nation is waging a war on a radical network of terrorists, not on a religion and not on a civilization. One of the deepest commitments of America is tolerance. No one should be unfairly judged by appearance or ethnic background.
True.
Or religious faith.
What is happening in the world that I missed the calls for unity from George W. Bush?
Isms that occasionally
oh my God, dude. I watch this one all the time, bro. I've done this on stream already. I fucking miss this old delectable bastard.
One is isolationism, and its evil twin protectionism, and its evil triplet nativism. There was an American First policy that said, who cares what happens in Europe? What happened in Europe mattered because of World War II. There was Smoot-Hawley, which was a part of an economic policy, which basically said we don't want trade. An immigration policy that I think during this period argued we had too many Jews and too many Italians, therefore we should have no immigrants. I'm a little concerned that we may be going through the same period.
Every single prominent left-winger, and I mean prominent left-winger with a significant following, has not called for continued violence against the right.
So you won't mind if I just grab this clip in case you obviously foreshadowing?
The pearl clutch.
I spent over an hour shaving little fuzzy balls off my warm leggings last night. Bro, all we did was watch Stranger Things and I got fucking obliterated. Dude.
From the right is really bothering me, considering the record of their calls for violence or their mocking of left-wing figures.
Calling out a congressman's hypocrisy isn't nothing, but doesn't hold a lot of weight when it's put on equal footing with TikToker Leftism is Based 4927, who only has 10 followers.
I didn't see any prominent figures on the left or Democrats saying anything awful. It was smaller accounts or just randos. But whenever I ran into one of them, like they're joking around about his neck wound, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people?
I did not know that Charlie Kirk said this about Anna.
He essentially said that since I don't have children, I don't care about the future of this country.
Good Lord.
I haven't been able to kind of shake it off. What I appreciated about Charlie Kirk was that he provided a platform for people who disagreed with him. People who don't understand the value of that really frustrate me because you're not thinking strategically and you don't really care about winning.
Yeah, I've been banned by mainstream media. And so a lot of the right-wing shows have been more open-minded about having me on.
Oh my God.
MSNBC or CNN.
That might be worth interrogating as to why, you know?
I can't believe that they're asking Anna on, and she's been doing an amazing job, and she's going to be on CNN tonight at 10 o'clock. But
he's so jealous.
Only a certain set of ideas are allowed. If you go outside the guard, that's it, you're out.
Well, that makes it sound more like a you problem than Chief.
There are some who are attempting to lower the temperature. One of those individuals is conservative commentator Eric Erickson.
There is Marxist ideology. They don't want you to know they're lying. They don't want you to believe they're lying. They don't want to act like they're lying. What they're doing is they're using different words to then get...
Like, isn't it weird that, like, you get these guys, bro, that start these podcasts that come out of nowhere and they have, like, all this, like, really good equipment? It's like, where the fuck did you guys get the money for these cameras that are, like, thousands of dollars? What the fuck? Hell yeah, Pixie. Hell yeah.
You to embrace their reality. It's very pernicious. It's why you do have to insist that men are men and women are women.
Here, Jank misunderstands how Grok works.
So I've told you guys before, I like Grok. I love that there's an AI out there that scours 60,000 or 100,000 videos, whatever we have online, and goes...
Also, I'm extremely surprised he likes the AI propaganda child of Elon Musk. Like, I figured someone on YouTube would prefer Gemini. The next story they cover is the murder of a Ukrainian refugee by a schizophrenic man on a train. Let's see where TYT's audience is at with it.
Although I'm a little worried about it that, wow, yes is winning dramatically. No, I don't agree with that at all.
Good, you shouldn't. No, wait, they're actually talking about the ACLU.
I'd like to know, what does the ACLU have to say about his freedom today?
The best I could find that justifies this critique is a Supreme Court case back in the 70s that was specifically about people who are not dangerous and not mentally unwell being institutionalized anyway. The kind of regulation Jank explicitly supports here.
I am for involuntarily institutionalizing some people. We had the bad old days where their standards for institutionalizing people were terrible and the places they sent them were even worse.
Now Anna tries to put a class spin on the stabbing.
Places where the elite, if you will, don't have to worry about using if they need to go to and fro work.
Rich people also take the train.
Nothing helps feed into the desires of neoliberals who do not want to spend any resources on public services than this ideology that just essentially says, oh no, we're doing it for freedom.
This is gobbledygook. Neoliberal here doesn't mean anything. If they want to say Bill Clinton cut mental health programs the same way Reagan did, there was reduced expansion in his healthcare bills, but overall his administration saw increased funding. Who's neoliberal after that? Obama? I mean, Biden increased funding with the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act of 2022.
They don't want to spend tax revenue.
The slow erosion of institutions that could manage and treat the mentally ill has been going on for decades due to government budget cuts and ideological opposition by people who think the mentally ill just need more Jesus. Also, why is this a story you're covering at all? What happened here is a tragic failure of multiple systems to protect people from these kinds of outcomes. But it's being carried mainly by salacious culture war rightoids who want to take advantage of an innocent white girl getting killed by a black guy. Even you guys decided to needlessly play the tape of her murder.
Jesus Christ, this dude's going for the goddamn jugular, dude. In 2 days, I've gone from sweating like a whore in church to shivering like a chinchilla. What the fuck is this weather? Bro. I like it, dude. It's been cold the last couple days, dude. I'm in sweater weather, dude. I've been having a hot chocolate with every time I start stream. Oh, it's so good, dude. So good. Cozy vibes, you know what I mean? I can't wait till I have to start wearing socks. Oh, it's gonna like upgrade it to the next level.
As though that provides any substantive context.
We have become so desensitized to violence that for over 2 minutes after this poor woman was stabbed, no one did a damn thing.
That's not being desensitized like everyone on the
Chihuahua, dude, those are cats. I don't care what people say. Chihuahuas are not dogs. They're just cats LARPing as fucking dogs, dude. Spoiled little brats. Also, Nikki, I'm so glad you're back because, like, you haven't put any pictures of the dogs in the thing. Like, I need help trying to convince Kia that this is where we're going. You know what I mean? Dude, Chihuahuas are not cute, bro. Any dog that could fit in a purse, I don't consider a dog, dude. Those are cats. The smallest dog I like are fucking like Shih Tzu. No, what are those little fucking Japanese ones, dude? Like the dog from Cowboy Bebop. I don't remember, dude. Fuck. Corgis are awesome. Pugs are awesome. But those are little bigger dogs, you know.
That train plays too much Call of Duty. That's threat avoidance. The guy has a knife, and if they saw what happened, they're probably in shock because survival instincts kick in that tell you to avoid danger.
There was one thing in the old days that was a good thing. That was when people looked out for
Yes,
one another.
a Yorkie. Yes. Yes. Those little Yorkies are fucking adorable, dude.
Be men. A man is supposed to protect. Sorry, but that's just reality.
At this point, the story of Kitty Genovese is more of an urban legend of people failing to help someone than a real tragic murder, but it's a good example of the fact that there are no good old days of traditional gender roles playing out in their ideal form. We can only do the best we can with the circumstances we're given, and we shouldn't put pressure on people to act in situations they're unprepared for.
I'm not putting it on you that, hey, the guy's got a knife.
At least like apprehend the guy in some way so he doesn't potentially hurt someone else.
Nope, no bad idea. Getting into a fight with a guy who's holding a knife is a good way to get killed. You're not Liam Neeson. You don't know how to expertly put a guy in a wrist lock to disarm them. Going after a guy with a knife is a great way to split a paramedic's time between two people instead of one. We finally get to Israel, and I'm very delighted. Maybe it's just that my bar for good coverage has fallen so far the devil is using it as a limbo pole, but the coverage is much more substantial, and yet also because of that, somehow worse. At least while I'm watching, they cover the factual news of an Israeli airstrike on Qatar that was targeting the Hamas negotiators Israel was communicating with to end the war. But where they draw conclusions, they find conspiracy. For example, Jank recalls covering an Israeli-American sniper who was secretly recorded in an interview where he admits his unit likely killed a total of 105 people and confirms a significant number, if not all, were either unarmed or clearly civilians and not a threat.
Yesterday we showed a guy who sounded exactly like an SS soldier bragging about how he killed 105 Palestinians with no weapons that were defenseless.
They had simply stepped over an invisible, arbitrary line their group had established as a kill zone. But then he'll go from that legitimate series of war crimes which should be fully investigated, condemned, and adjudicated to, and that's why Israel runs the United States government.
When's the last time they passed a law that helped the super rich or corporations or foreign governments? Endlessly. Then the minute they come back to us, they're like, we don't have any money left. We gave it all to ExxonMobil and Pfizer and Israel.
And it completely undermines him. They'll say that Israel shouldn't have conducted the airstrike on Qatar, but then they'll go on to say that Israel shouldn't be conducting counteroffensives against any of the belligerent actors in the region who had been attacking them for months.
Israel feels that they are entitled to bomb or carry out strikes in any sovereign country they feel like.
They'll compare civilian to combatant kill ratios and conclude Israel is therefore worse than Assad's Syria.
The ratio is significantly worse than Hamas, worse than what Assad did in Syria, worse than almost any terrorist activity in terms of percentage of civilians killed.
Or at least that it's even worth comparing when the population density and intentions of the actors in these places are nothing alike. I'm with them in the setup, and then they lose me in the conclusion.
So if you're killing the negotiators for peace, you're obviously not going to get peace. Is Bibi solely responsible for peace negotiations falling through? Yes, is winning overwhelmingly, as it should. It is an empirical fact.
He then goes on to compare Hamas to Osama bin Laden.
Just like bin Laden. Okay, wait.
To imply that Israel has less justification to go after Hamas because they have more legitimacy to the Palestinians and were negotiating for the hostages, which is not the argument I would be making if I wanted to make it clear that the Palestinians are not all Hamas. And to be clear, I'm not making that argument either.
Has won an election before, but wait a minute. The Israeli government is bigger terrorist than Hamas. That's empirical. You can catch feelings over it. I don't care.
Fine, I guess we're doing this. Hamas was initially a charity called Mujama al-Islamiyah, founded by Sheikh Yassin in 1973 to build infrastructure in Gaza like doctors' offices and daycares. They would also encourage women to wear hijabs and attack left-wing organizations like the Palestinian Red Crescent Society due to what they described as immorality. Israel, as it would later be revealed, funded this group as they saw it as a counter to the PLO in order to fracture any political unity in Gaza to prevent the formation of an official state, where Mujama al-Islamiyah.
See, this is where Israel always steps on their own dick, dude. So initially, Israel funded the PLO. The PLO got too powerful, so then they funded Hamas. Like, we create our own demons, homie. It's fucking hilarious.
Was religious and
What up,
conservative.
Stuart?
The PLO was secular. This was an extremely bad idea, as it turns out, for a number of reasons, not the least of which are the repercussions it had on Israeli civilians and the devastation to Gazan society that facilitated Hamas's entrenchment. Some take this as an opportunity to place all of the blame for Hamas on Israel, and while Israel shouldn't have put itself in a position to bear any of the responsibility, they could only try to take advantage of existing sentiments in Gaza. the same way right-wing Christian nationalists in the United States didn't create the Likud party. So, in 1984, the Israeli military discovered a stockpile of weapons at one of their mosques and arrested Sheikh Yassin, but he was released in 1985 in an agreement to trade Palestinian prisoners for IDF hostages of the 1982 Lebanon War. In 1987, Sheikh Yassin started Hamas as a paramilitary wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Yahya Sinwar would be charged with finding any Palestinians who were collaborators with Israel. In 1989, after carrying out their first attack, Yahya Sinwar would be given 4 life sentences for planning out the abduction and murder of 2 Israeli soldiers and 4 Palestinians he saw as collaborators. Yassin was arrested again, and after hundreds of Hamas activists were deported to Lebanon, the group began dealings with Hezbollah. Then, in 1992, they created the Al-Qassam Brigades. Hamas opposed the 1993 Oslo Accords, the compact between Israel and the PLO that would hopefully create a bridge to peace. After the Cave of the Patriarch massacre, where
That's so crazy, dude. I'm getting like so many flashbacks. What the fuck, dude? I remember being a kid seeing that everywhere.
Settler Baruch.
I miss Bill Clinton, man. I miss him so much.
Goldstein killed 29 unarmed civilians and injured over 100 more in Hebron. Hamas began targeting civilians directly. In 1999, Hamas was banned from Jordan by King Abdullah to ensure peace negotiations with Israel did not fall apart. In 2000, after the failure of the Camp David summit, Hamas launches the Second Intifada. About 138 suicide bombings are carried out in Israel. The IDF kills thousands. In 2004, Sheikh Yassin and another Hamas official offered a truce in exchange for the establishment of a Palestinian state that governed East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Gaza. Israel killed them both a few months later. It's unclear whether their offer was sincere. In 2005, the Second Intifada ends. The IDF withdraws from Gaza while maintaining sea and airspace control. In 2006, Hamas ran as a political party in elections to Palestinian parliament on a platform of violent resistance against Israel. From there, the US and EU conditioned aid to the Palestinians on Hamas renouncing violence, recognizing Israel, and endorsing the peace process outlined in the Oslo Accords. Hamas rejected this. By 2007, Hamas had completely ousted Fatah and the PLO from Gaza, with at least 600 people being killed in the fighting between them. This is all on Wikipedia, by the way. If you're reporting on this stuff, you can just look it up. Israel begins a strict blockade on Gaza. Cultural repression and totalitarian rule by Hamas is strict. In the following years, there's a cycle of clashes, ceasefires, and Israeli incursions into Gaza. In an effort at slowly improving relations, Israel would issue work permits for Palestinians to enter Israel, and Qatari aid money was allowed into Gaza in the hopes of improving conditions to temper extremism. In 2011, Yahya Sinwar is released with over 1,000 others in a prisoner exchange. In 2017, Hamas updates its charter and Trump recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Hamas takes that as a declaration of war. In 2018, there is the Great March of Return. Independent activists begin a protest of weekly marches to the border between Gaza and Israel in protest of Israel's blockade and for a right of return of refugees. Thousands joined the protests intending to be nonviolent. However, there were those in the protests who did engage in violence, some throwing stones and Molotov cocktails, others firing rifles or throwing bombs. The circumstances behind the violence across the months of protest are foggy, but at the risk of being crude in my brevity, it was basically some protesters escalating to provoke a response, and the IDF not knowing how to aim. Thousands were injured by IDF gunfire and about 180 were killed. Hamas claimed 50 as militants. In 2020, the Abraham Accords are announced and signed. The UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco recognize Israel. In 2023, on October 7th, Hamas kills over 1,000 people in Israel, takes over 200 hostage, and the war in Gaza begins. Peace negotiations are frequently stalled by Hamas intransigence and Israeli belligerence. The main sticking point of the negotiation would be whether Hamas could stay in power without disarming. By October 2025,
like, Jesus Christ, dude. Could you imagine if, like, Hassan, the #1 Palestinian dick suck, would do this? Like, this young man is out here just fucking dropping it all down. He's not just aiming either one as the villain or the good guy. He's just going down the facts of the matter. This is fucking crazy.
At least 65,000 Palestinians have been killed, and over 150,000 have been injured.
The ratio is significantly worse than Hamas, worse than what Assad did in Syria.
October 7th kill ratio is a meaningless statistic when it was an unprovoked attack intended to draw the IDF into Gaza with the intention of fighting a prolonged siege.
Using Netanyahu's logic, well, yeah, we murdered the entire government of Yemen. The Houthis that were...
1. The Houthis are not Yemen's government. 2. This is a terrible argument for proportionate response given the level of escalation from the Houthis towards Israel and the surrounding countries, who have been impacted by their blockade. Over a year and a half since it started. By your own standard, this was restraint.
The sniper who was murdering all those innocent Palestinians, he said that he was one of the guys on a college campus in America that said his feelings were hurt.
I feel good about 2 of my meds, but I'm really trying hard to deal with ADHD without stimulant meds like Adderall because I have a history of addiction and abuse. Yeah, dude, I can't fuck with that shit. Israel doesn't allow journalists in. It allows some journalists in.
I can't tell if it's intentional, but the implication here is that Daniel Robb was on campus sometime after 2023, but he graduated in 2021, and his complaints of anti-Semitism do have some substantive backing, though that's now all rightly called into question by his actions in Gaza.
We've lost all faith in our institutions. They are worthless. When's the last time Congress passed a law that helped us?
Yes.
They're worthless. When's the last time Congress passed a law that helped us?
The American Rescue Plan, yeah, Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, CHIPS and Act, debt relief for student loans, protective for every single program maintained by the government for decades. Oh, I fucking love this shit, man. Oh, I'm so glad someone's finally calling these assholes out, dude. This is pornographic, guys. I'm living it.
Our next segment is about Seinfeld comparing pro-Palestine protesters to the Klan, because at least the Klan is outspoken about not liking Jews.
Comedian Jerry Seinfeld has unfortunately and tragically reached new levels of depravity.
Worse than the time he dated a 17-year-old?
It is not difficult to distinguish between a foreign government and a foreign military and the entirety of an identity of a group of people. Okay, for me, it's not hard at all.
Then why are you so bad at it? So you have singled out a Jewish person who has called out, albeit too coarsely, the anti-Semitism of the pro-Palestine movement.
What they are effectively communicating to the world is that anyone who has a problem with genocidal acts is by definition an anti-Semite.
I don't personally believe that anti-Semitism is inherent to being pro-Palestine, but a lot of the loudest voices and a lot of the...
True, dude. It's a little rough when a majority of your ideology is filled with anti-Semites, dude. And what? No, Hassan won second place. Well, that's good. Always listen, if they support your choice, then hell yeah.
The imagery has colored them that way because the leaders of the movement haven't done a good enough job of honing their message. Instead, we got humanitarian aid pizza, the storming of Colombia, and fights with police. All actions that have centered on the protesters instead of Palestine itself.
He's unintentionally making anti-Semitism seem like a good thing.
Whether or not you believe in the prevalence of anti-Semitism therein, at this point, the selfishness of it is undeniable.
And so Jerry Seinfeld, it turns out, is a racist and thinks, no, Palestinians should be forever enslaved by Israel.
And Cenk and Anna doubling down on the vitriol that pushed people away is just more of the same.
Imprisoned in the occupied territories by my moral beloved Israel, okay? They're dirt. They're like cockroaches. I don't free Palestine. Why would I free a bunch of cockroaches?
I'm not saying that because I think Seinfeld's words were good.
To be an overt, disgusting racist.
Frankly, I think he said a lot of stuff that's been at best ignorant.
A, yes, he's obviously a racist. B, no, if you want to free Palestinians, that means you're more hateful than the KKK.
And I think he's become a little too disconnected to have an opinion worth listening to. But he's an adult and extremely wealthy, so he can take care of himself.
Jerry Seinfeld, Palestinians. Whoever wants the freedom hates the Jews.
My point is that what Seinfeld said...
Tramadol, what?
...isn't worth this much time to tear Seinfeld down instead of lifting Palestine up.
What a terrible thing to say, not just about Palestinians, but about Jews. No, I know tons of Jews.
I wouldn't call it a one-to-one comparison, but not too long ago, in this stream, they were extremely concerned about people raising the temperature because it'll only cause more problems, and that's all this segment is really for.
Bunch of savages! It's like one of the most racist guys in America. I guess he's a Jewish supremacist. Apparently Jerry Seinfeld's parents were probably monsters, and they taught him...
Man, he does so many unhinged personal attacks, dude. This is crazy. Like, what the fuck?
hate Palestinians.
Next, the UK ambassador to America was fired because his close ties to Jeffrey Epstein were revealed, and so Cenk assumes that he was appointed to be controlled by Israel.
Because him being involved in the Epstein case wasn't the bug, it was the feature. They picked him because they knew that he could be trusted to do right by a certain country. And that country is not Great Britain, and it is not America.
But it's certainly not Chinese.
Yeah.
Then for some reason,
Oh
we give a
my
shit about a
God.
named Rabbi Shmuley trying to solicit donations off of Charlie Kirk's death.
The dildo business isn't bringing in the money.
I just want to be clear, they're kosher dildos.
Oh.
Oh my God, dude, these guys are just anti-Semites now. All they do is shit. At least they're no longer talking shit about just our government. They're adding in the Jews now. That's cool. That's cool. Hundreds of thousands of Israel's protest against the government. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, look, I have no problem with the sale of dildos if that's what you're into.
Who sells kosher dildos and defends genocides?
Listen.
Yeah.
People need dildos. Okay, people need dildos, including religious people who are only kosher. No judgment on that.
Yeah.
But
my God, if that
this-
was their only issue, that would be amazing.
Senator John Kennedy decided to be a creepy old guy in his foghorn leghorn voice towards Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, calling her attractive and ethnic.
this fake Elmer Fudd accent, real thick.
I put some lube on and got him on his knees. This was my ass. He got on top and
What
slowly
the
inserted
fuck?
himself into me. It will fit my favorite dildo. You're going to look so hot. I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life.
During this, Cenk and Anna completely gloss over a moment where Sean Hannity references Elizabeth Warren as Pocahontas.
Your friend Pocahontas.
And Cenk uses the moment to self-aggrandize about helping Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez win her election.
At the beginning of AOC, I was there. So one of the founders of Just Democrats, we featured her on 34 times on the Young Turks before her primary win, more than the rest of the media
I
combined.
have no idea.
Which unintentionally validates Kennedy's criticism, the non-creepy part, that said she was a creation of the media.
In fact, we couldn't get the media to talk about her during the primary because you hate outsiders. You're elitist pricks.
Okay, this irks me. A PAC founded by a media owner funded her and provided her time on his show, and as a result, she's in Congress. That's not a critique of AOC's authenticity. I'm not going to look up clips from 7-8 years ago to figure that out.
Dude, they have like 6 million subscribers. This is news to them. This is terrifying, bro. No wonder why people are just becoming fucking super radicalized, dude. Rampant Rabbit may not be the best dildo, but it's right up there. Hell yeah, dude. Look, dude. I need to get one of those. I need to get one of those for the fun times, you know what I'm saying?
But then Cenk does what I think is the best John Kennedy impersonation I've ever seen.
And then a reporter walks in, he's like, oh, yeah, well, right, I will love it. Oh, I'm the average guy. Oil companies and
What the fuck, dude? Don't do voices, man. Who watches this shit willingly?
And finally, Cenk interviews Peter Beinart, who wrote a book about being Jewish while Israel commits genocide in Gaza, which is a topic I think is worth exploring by someone besides him. And that's day one.
What the fuck?
Action!
That's awesome, man.
Today, the FBI arrests someone who was planning to murder journalists who he considered the enemy of the people. Gee, I wonder where he got that idea. Calling them the enemy of the people encourages violence against them. Every time he puts out a tweet saying enemy of the people, he increases the percentage chance that somebody at the New York Times is going to get killed.
Donald Trump will go after any type of medium, late night, comedy show. Donald Trump
Man, remember when she used to dress more modestly and not try to show a bunch of skin? That's crazy.
wanted to look into SNL because they make fun of him. If I, in some alternate universe, were a right-winger who had supported Trump in the election, at this very moment, I would be deeply embarrassed.
And what does he do? Like all cowards, he says, "Well, I don't want to get into the fight, right? I mean, I got bone spurs. Oh, I got bone spurs, and incredibly thin skin, so I can't go in."
In 2019, they were. This is how mean they were to Trump.
any fight. But you know what? Somebody should do something about the enemy of the people. And he encourages other people to take actions that are going to lead to violence. If you don't know calling someone the enemy of the people, especially when you're the president of the United States, encourages violence, either you're totally lying, you know it encourages violence, and you're hoping somebody gets hurt at the New York Times.
True!
Or you're the dumbest person in America. So here we are, another right-wing terrorist targeting journalists and liberals because he thought they were against Trump. Is it connected to his tweets? Goddamn right it is.
Oh, shit!
All right, time for day 2.
Okay.
Before we get started, how are you doing?
Don't ask me that because not good, but let's just move on. I'm just really sad at like where the country is right now. You know, what's happening in the Middle East, obviously, I've been worried about that, but it does break my heart that some of the most prominent streamers, content creators have been putting out some stuff out that I don't know where I belong, has not called for continued violence against the right.
So what changed between foreshadowing and today?
I'm an enormous believer that the radicals do
Okay, they're going to be calling out Destiny here. I already know.
not represent the left or the right.
More both sidesing. Okie dokie.
It really didn't take long for members of the Trump administration to exploit the murder of Charlie Kirk to essentially roll back rights of Americans under this guise of fighting terrorism.
How are you going to both sides of this one, Anna?
I am personally disgusted with the celebrations of Charlie Kirk's murder. You know, years ago, I remember covering a story about Turning Point USA and how they literally had published a list of professors for people to target. But I do think we need to have some sort of regulation that prevents doxing from happening. But see, that would be, you know, trying to find a reasonable solution to an ongoing problem that I've seen on both the left and the right.
I disagree, but we should do something, but not about that specifically, a different problem that they aren't trying to address.
But that's not what Stephen Miller and the Trump administration are interested in doing here.
Now, whether you believe him or not, Charlie Kirk's #1 issue was free speech. You could say, hey, you know, I found instances where he was hypocritical.
This has me wondering, would voting qualify as an act of speech if it's done anonymously, but it's taken as the voice of the people and the selection of their leadership? That might be a question for the philosophers, but January 6th definitely proves that both Trump and Kirk do not care about what people's opinions actually are.
True.
They're willing to subvert them to their own ends.
True.
It doesn't matter. He wanted his legacy to be free speech.
Oh my God, I'm so glad people have a similar message as me. This is warming my soul. I'm warm and gooey all on the inside. This is amazing.
The right wing believe that his legacy is free speech.
I don't think that's how that works. Does George Bush's legacy get to be his time as a painter?
Ran 2 elections on that, 2020 and 2024.
Source? Please?
But now you're...
I mean, to an extent, yeah. Free speech, so as long as you share the same view. To an extent, yeah. Like, free speech, you can't have total free speech. Such anarchy is incapable of existing in a realm that needs, like, you know, security. Like, you can have free speech as long as your free speech doesn't challenge the mechanisms that grant you free speech. Like, you know, like the systems that we use to give free speech can't be challenged. Like, you know, I agree with that. Wasn't that no, he was a fuck, dude. He's like one of the most famous liberals or something. Fuck, I don't remember his name. Oh no.
in power, and all of a sudden we're going to cancel people?
No, it's not canceling someone when you bring the weight of the federal government down on someone. That's a fair bit more. It's a violation of your constitutional and civil rights.
This is exactly how you lose your freedom. And then if the Democrats get back in charge, then the two sides will flip. And then the right will go, no, no more free speech, no cancel culture. And the left will go back to, oh, no more free speech.
You can't even improvise what the realistic expectation of a Democratic administration curtailing free speech would look like.
I never thought I would ever fear the loss of our liberal democracy, but for the first time ever, I'm actually fearful of that. I really am.
Wild to admit this when that's what everyone was talking about prior to the election and you didn't take it seriously.
You know, I laughed about it, how laughable is it to think that Americans would want to be ruled by a monarchy? And the whole point of a liberal democracy is to allow you to articulate your arguments, make a case for your beliefs.
Wow, it would be really surprising if Donald Trump made it clear way before the election that he wasn't a fan of liberal democracy.
And whatever you might think about Charlie Kirk, he provided a platform for people to do that.
Cenk said when you die you don't become an angel, but they are certainly doing the work to rewrite what Kirk's actual job was. The entire point of college campus debates was to position media-trained conservatives against inexperienced students to create an image of intelligence and superiority. The point wasn't to exchange ideas, it was to have people offer themselves as a metaphorical sacrifice to the discourse.
And so people say, well, he was trying to influence people in the wrong direction. That's right. That's why we're here, trying to influence people in the right direction. And that's called America.
I kind of agree with that, actually. When people are acting in good faith, and Charlie Kirk was not.
You fight back with words, you fight back politically, you fight back with rhetoric, and if anyone on the right actually meant anything about freedom of speech that they said, they would be 100%.
Get it, Nikki, get it. Hit that pillow hard and then don't open your eyes until your body makes you. That's the best way to enjoy a nap. It's called sleep.
100% opposed to what Stephen Miller just said.
Okay, but they're not. Not even Charlie Kirk, because Kirk supported Trump and Trump supported Miller, and after Trump brought on Miller, he continued to support him. This isn't difficult. It's like you say, words and actions. And now we get to a group of right-wing trolls that decided to create a website for harassing people that made light of Charlie Kirk's death. I'm actually kind of amazed at what their response is, starting with, they learned it from the left.
Right-wing activists and some politicians are on a bit of a witch hunt. And I think some of the behavior that we saw, beginning in 2020, if anything, I would say that the right is learning from those tactics and now going on a witch hunt against Charlie Kirk's critics.
See, like even when she's going after the right, it's in a defense of, or even when she's attacking the right, she still has to attack the left. Okay.
Where did you get this? Who taught you how to use this thing?
You, all right? I learned from watching you.
Just be careful about what you're posting online. Be thoughtful about what you're putting out there.
That is actually good advice.
Oh, well, why don't you condemn Trump for refusing to turn the temperature down? Listen, I have accepted a long time ago that Donald Trump is never going to be a leader in regard to having cooler heads prevail. So things
like, what the fuck? So because you expect him to be a piece of shit, we should just not ask him to cool it down? I'm so confused, dude.
Don't kind of spiral out of control where we have even more violence.
Why have you accepted that?
But even if Biden or Kamala Harris said it, they wouldn't listen anyway.
Right now, Americans are struggling, regardless of where they stand on the political aisle, okay?
It's an explanation to say that people under increased stress act out more, but that shouldn't be touted as an excuse for people choosing to harass someone, like it's the equivalent of taking a kickboxing class.
And what are the political elite doing right now? They are directing our ire at one another.
One sec. I'm going to let it play because I have my headphones on. I'm going to go grab a drink out of the fridge.
And then to both sides, Anna brings up the 2022 mass shooting in Buffalo, New York by a white supremacist.
Go into a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, and gun down 10 Black Americans. That was politically motivated violence. Can we please stop pretending like there isn't a problem in this country on both sides? There is a problem right now. There is. There just is.
We've been saying on this show, stop calling all Trump voters racist.
Trump supporters. Not all racist, but all supporters of racists.
No one isn't doing nuance anymore at all. We've just got both sides saying, nope, I'm going to find the most extreme person on that side and make them the poster child.
All the most extreme people on the right currently have control of the federal government, Cenk. Cenk reads a viewer comment.
Israel's a major player in the cancel culture. They're also a significant cause of the desensitization online. They've blurred all standards for morality, humanity, respect, integrity. That's what I call the Israelification of the world, which is if you're strong and powerful, you don't have to follow the law, you don't have to follow morality, and call it self-defense and laugh.
The word you're looking for is Russification. Then they touch on rumors about Kash Patel feuding with Pam Bondi and potentially getting ousted as FBI director.
Multiple sources also told Fox that Patel was forcibly instructed not to speak, adding that investigators had still not identified a suspect.
Next up is Florida Congressman Brian Mast putting up a bill that would allow Secretary of State Marco Rubio to revoke someone's passport if they're critical of Israel.
A man, by the way, who showed up to the halls of Congress wearing an IDF uniform just kind of gives you a sense of how much control this foreign government has over our own lawmakers. And it might have to do something with just how much money they take from the Israel lobby, which is quite a bit.
Representative Mast is
Jesus
not
Christ.
a U.S. representative. He served in the IDF.
Mast did not serve in the IDF. He did volunteer work packing medical kits. It's an important distinction. Mast lost both his legs in Afghanistan in 2010. He would not have been able to serve in an official capacity as a soldier. But that's how he got the uniform he wore in 2023 after the October 7th attacks.
American taxpayers to give to the country that Representative Mast actually loves, which is Israel.
Brian Mast is an evangelical Christian. That's why he likes Israel.
However,
Jesus Christ, dude. These people are wild, man.
I want to kind of get to the root of something that I see as a huge problem in this country, namely the ability of government officials to slap the label of terrorist onto pretty much anyone. How do you even determine what terrorist is? Like, what is the definition? What are the guidelines that government officials would be using to designate someone as a terrorist? Well, is super vague and can be applied pretty generously to anyone, including someone who's been kidnapped, forcibly kidnapped by a guerrilla group.
A criticism of Trump.
You know, is now deemed a supporter of terrorism because of the fact that she was forced to cook and clean for that group. It's crazy, absolutely insane.
In the middle of this super serious story, the idea of her serving gorillas as in apes rather than militants. Okay, if you're aiding and abetting gorillas or orangutans.
We were so close to decent coverage of one story.
No, we have a First Amendment. As much as Israel and the corrupt U.S. politicians who serve Israel might hate that.
But all that comfortably leads into more Israel news that's basically just an excuse to, how do I put this? Well, you saw the clip earlier, so let's just say, embrace their inner Fuentes.
When I heard TikTok update their terms of service to no longer allow violent/gory videos, I thought, there it is. There's the Israeli play in all of this. They're going to take not only Kirk's death down, but all the Gaza/West Bank deaths as well. The beginning of the new week, that's it. All the Israeli forces inside the U.S. government and inside social media attacking.
Well, unfortunately, the United States is currently in bed with savage terrorists, and that is the current government of Israel. But the annexation of the West Bank, the annexation of land in Syria following the fall of Bashar al-Assad.
I was technically incorrect in my Hassan video, and despite bombing Syria, the IDF has actively removed Israelis who have tried to set up settlements across the border. While Israel hasn't allowed civilians to settle in regions of the Golan Heights past the border, after the fall of Assad, the IDF expanded their buffer zone, which, while questionably legal, makes sense given that Syria had just deposed their government and wasn't fully capable of enforcing a new stability. What Anna is describing makes it sound like they set up an entirely new West Bank-style settlement, and while that cannot be completely ruled out in the future and should be criticized then, there's no evidence that the Israeli government wants that to happen now.
This is an expansionist, colonial settler program, the Greater Israel Project, and anyone trying to convince you otherwise is lying to you.
Greater Israel isn't a thing. It won't ever be a thing. It cannot ever reasonably be a thing. If you want to talk about expansion in Gaza and the West Bank, by all means criticize it, condemn it, call the conditions an apartheid. But like I said last time, Greater Israel is taking land they can't hold with forces they don't have, with aid they won't get.
This is about aiding and abetting Israel's empire building.
To be fair to Trump, he did try hard to get to peace in Ukraine.
Trump tried to get peace? What?
And I believe he tried in Gaza.
Yeah, Trump Gaza #1. That's what that means, right? Right?
But that all changed after Netanyahu's last visit. We don't know what happened there, but Trump went from challenging them to doing the same exact obedient lapdog routine as Joe Biden.
I gave them too much credit yesterday.
So when they say all of Hamas has to surrender, that is a purposely undoable goal.
I mean, this technically could be correct. Given the religious fanaticism and the number of people they've already forced in front of gunfire, it's hard to say whether you could actually get them to surrender.
How do they surrender? Do a couple of hundred people, a couple of thousand people come out of the tunnels dressed in their Hamas garb? And no one even knows what it means to surrender. Do they just kill themselves? Do they turn themselves into Israeli authorities? The whole point of Israel was supposed.
I did say that today while me and my girlfriend were talking for breakfast. I said if Trump actually gets a peace deal signed, he's gonna have to get the peace deal. Yeah, dude. I don't remember the date. I think I should go look up the upload date of that one video, because I think I uploaded on the year anniversary of his death. I talked to his mom on Facebook, so I haven't in a while.
Supposed to be a safe haven for Jews. How does endless war equal safe haven? It doesn't. This isn't about that. This is about greater Israel. And now we are enslaved here in America, saying, open up your wallets. Let's go. Israel wants your money.
God.
And if you think you have freedom in America, you have freedom with an asterisk. Except your entire government will work for Israel. And that doesn't apply to everybody in the Trump administration. Before Trump got neutered, he was actually defying Israel time to time. Steve Witkoff was actually trying to do real peace negotiations.
Why do you think these things?
And then he's going to pursue further military action, of course, fought by United States soldiers in Iran. I mean, the blueprint and the plans are being drawn up for that as we speak.
Please tell me you have a source for that.
And to be honest with you, Jeff, one of the biggest black pills I have ever swallowed in my life is the realization that our government, they're supporting the bad guys.
If Donald Trump ends an 80-year conflict between Israel and Palestine, a conflict no one has ever thought possible to end, he would deserve the peace deal thingy or whatever. Yeah, that is fucking impressive. If they actually sign a peace deal and ends the most convoluted conflict forever, hell yeah, dude.
So to summarize, the black pill was that this government is helping Israel. None of the other stuff, just Israel. It's always Israel. Not cutting USAID, not blowing up our relationship with international allies, not ICE arrests and deportation to CCOT, not even the fact that half the country still supports Trump in the face of all the damage he's done that has killed and traumatized more people between his first and second administration than Israel. Excuse me if I find this a little disingenuous.
Hell
They are
yeah.
stealing American resources, depriving American taxpayers of the resources we so desperately need in order
chilly.
to aid and abet the terrorists, the terroristic regime in.
We were actually already, I think they brought that dude up.
In Israel.
I'll say the same things I've said before. Criticize Israel, call it a settler colonial apartheid state. By itself, I can disagree with the verbiage and still recognize we can be on the same side of trying to achieve peace and equality. But this isn't that. It makes those goals harder because it both expands the necessary action beyond what's reasonable, and it obfuscates the reality.
They've enslaved the Palestinians for the last 58 years. They say, oh, look, they're going to try to kill Jews, not just in Israel, but across the world. The Palestinians, all they ever did was take in people that had suffered genocide and Holocaust. They took in the Armenians from the Armenian genocide. They took in Jews from the Holocaust.
I'm not rehashing Israel-Palestine history. This is incorrect. Part of the problem during the Holocaust was that immigration to mandatory Palestine was restricted to appease the Arab population. And again, he undermines himself with more complaints about our institution that's busy with people of the Levant.
So the people in Washington take money from the Israeli lobby. They're corrupt, period. There is no other reason they support Israel other than the fact that they're crooks and they work for a different country. And by the way, if you're allowed to murder people in an allied country like Qatar, let alone any other country, that also means you're allowed to murder in America. Now, you think they're not going to do it? They've already killed 10 Americans since 2022 in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. And what has our government done? Thank you, sir. May we have another, sir? The American citizens are useless. Who cares about them? Murder away. No consequences. None. Sir, how much more money would you like, sir? In reality, it's one of the worst governments that is creating more conflict than any other government on planet Earth.
Israel is causing more conflict than any other country on Earth. Really?
Period. I don't see North Korea attacking 6 of its neighbors.
There are North Korean soldiers in Ukraine, missile launches into South Korean airspace.
I thought it was two ears doing something. When you're having an existential crisis.
Really?
Period. I don't see North Korea attacking 6 of its neighbors.
There are North Korean soldiers in Ukraine, missile launches into South Korean airspace and waters, cyber attacks and crypto scams. What do you think their military is for?
Israel's just creating future terrorists. Violence begets violence. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're creating future terrorists, but they're also the present-day terrorists.
Can we just recognize that the motivating factors for terrorism are not exclusively poverty or having violence inflicted on you? This is extremely reductive. Osama bin Laden came from a wealthy family. Ted Kaczynski was a math prodigy and assistant professor at Berkeley. The leaders of Hamas hoarded billions of dollars intended as aid for Palestinians in Gaza. I don't bring this up to say that it means all the people who would be in Hamas are therefore instantly valid targets, or that Cenk is even necessarily implying that, just that the motivations behind terrorism are ideological commitments, not just circumstances.
If we have time, I guess we'll talk about how pathetic Hakeem Jeffries is.
The next story is about how Trump used the military to blow up a Venezuelan boat he says was trafficking drugs, but provides no evidence about it. Anna surmises that Trump is planning a regime change in Venezuela.
And that would be yet another war that Donald Trump would be dragging the United States military into at a time when war is breaking out all over the Middle East because of us aiding and abetting Israel.
Because they've gone in so hard on Israel controlling the United States, I feel obligated to point out that America deciding to go to war with Venezuela for oil, as they imply Trump wants, completely contradicts that. Either Israel wants the United States to go to war with Iran, or oil companies want to go to war with Venezuela, and our army isn't big enough to do both. Pick one.
And then, of course, when it comes to our military arsenal, there have been reports about how that arsenal is depleted because we're, of course, providing weapons to Ukraine, weapons to Israel. The list goes on and on.
In what world is this believable on its face?
And remember,
all right, buddy,
he
talk
tried
to
to
the
start
bit.
a war with Venezuela last time he was president.
Then why did you think he would cut defense spending after the election?
Yeah.
Establishment 101. Neocon 101.
More normalizing language, that this is just what Republicans and neocons do.
This is an epic disaster. This isn't America. This is ugliness done on behalf of...
Well, that was yet another piece of evidence that this is the kayfabe presidency, wrestling theater.
Is Venezuela the largest exporter of drugs in the region? Not even close. So, look, I don't want to give them ideas about Mexico or Colombia, but does Colombia export more drugs than Venezuela? Yes.
Oh my God, it's about immigration. Crime in Venezuela sends people seeking asylum and refuge to America, and the people in America then hear about Venezuelan immigrants taking over Colorado high-rises that you reported on. Venezuela doesn't need to export the most drugs. They just need to be seen as the most prominent country causing the immigration crisis.
It ain't about drugs. It's about oil. So there's no question about that. I can't believe our Secretary of Defense is a weekend Fox host.
Agreed.
Like, this is a joke, man. It's especially sickening, guys, because they constantly use our troops as sitting ducks. They put them in the middle of the Middle East. Oh, please, Iran, attack them, please, so we can wipe out the Iranian regime and do regime change like Israel ordered us to.
Believe it or not, Iran isn't dumb enough to do that, so we're not stupid enough to offer the opportunity. The last time Iran struck the US military under Trump, we notably did not do any regime change for Israel. And then we go to Brian Kilmeade saying he wants to euthanize the homeless. He apologized.
I don't care!
He still sucks. Cenk brings up someone homeless that he helped out. That's genuinely nice. I'm glad he did that.
I've got a loved one who had schizophrenia. And by the way, he's better now. Brian, we didn't have to kill him.
And lastly, we come to Cenk's interview.
I got a fever. And the only prescription is...
Zachary Karabell. All right.
So, 2 criticisms against Trump. I guess 3. All of it is... 4 criticisms against Trump. All of it was pretty much just focused around Israel bad. All right.
Action!
All right, guys. So I'm going to tell you about how Tucker Carlson's trying to get every other reporter to not
talk about the good economy. This video is sponsored by aspiration.com/TYT. Tucker went on air Friday night to bully Jim Cramer from CNBC. Cramer said a rare, honest thing. So obviously, Tucker Carlson's furious about that. So he said this is the best economy he's ever seen. Unemployment claims are at a 52-year low, but the rest of mainstream media totally followed and has actually doubled down and poured fuel all over that fire. They took
This was during 2020 or 2021. Our economic recovery in America was fucking phenomenal, especially compared to the rest of the G7 nations. Our GDP growth was amazing. We had the lowest unemployment fucking rate ever under Biden. Like, prices did go up, inflation did happen, but like, dude, we recovered hard as fuck.
a really hot economy and said it's a really bad thing. And you don't want to give credit to a good economy because they actually passed bills that help American voters. Oh, that coronavirus relief bill mainly went to you guys. Oh, so Tucker Carlson comes in and he's going to bully him because he doesn't want any other reporter saying the thing that is true. Part of how Fox News drives the agenda. So he knows that if he says outrageous and awful things about Jim Cramer, everybody will hear it and report it because they'll be shocked and chagrined, like, oh no, there's terrible Tucker Carlson attacking us again. To get the media.
But see, he's talking about how the network responds to things. So if good news is going to come out from the Democrats, what they're going to do is they're going to attack the Democrats saying the good news. And they use buzzwords and trigger insults to like already like poise people against them. But yeah, you guys had a unique you guys had a unique issue because of Brexit, dude. That was wild.
The attention that he wants, right? But he's getting that attention to direct it towards what? To direct it towards you better not say anywhere on television that the economy is doing well. Now, can he bully the rest of the media that way? Of course he can.
Tonight, I'll also be on News Nation with Chris Cuomo debating the Israel issue. Is it a genocide or not? I'm also going to do a special live show with Tucker Carlson.
That seemed really hard to get out. I wonder why.
I'm going to do a live show today with Tucker Carlson. God damn, dude. Oh, what a sellout, dude. I love it, dude. Go do it.
And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking.
First.
Oh, man. Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson's conspiracy theories against the Jews are so wild. And now these people are going to join teams with him because at the end of the day, they're not for Palestine. They're just for hating on Jews. It's crazy. It's crazy, dude.
Thing out the gate, the UN Commission on Gaza has come out and said that Israel is committing a genocide in their report.
Commission had actually put out a report.
Yeah. I was unaware of this.
Earlier that found Israel had committed war crimes against humanity.
I've got my own issues with the report, but none are substantive enough at the moment to call out in any meaningful way. I'm sure there are people on YouTube who'll go into more detail with research if you're curious, but for our purposes, let's just accept their determination.
You better not call it a genocide. Well, they did anyway. The only three groups left on Israel's side is Israel's hard right wing. Then the second group is Western leaders.
Well, also the other two fractions of the UN. You know, it's also hasn't been ruled by the actual ICJ court. You know.
And the third group is Western media. Can a country, just with controlling Western leaders and media, be able to pull off a genocide and totally get away with it?
If it's just money, Israel isn't the richest country in the world. It's not even the richest country in the region. You don't have to do this whole song and dance. If America's government is for sale, why is Israel the only one who seems to be trying to buy it?
Can we get the entire world to shut up and follow our orders?
But don't hate Israelis, though. Meaning the Israeli government. Don't hate the Israeli government. Don't hate the IDF.
Another interesting slip.
It's a live...
Yeah, don't hate Israel. That is also, yeah, that is adorable, Nikki.
Streamed genocide, but don't speak out about it.
You know all those jokes about right-wing media pundits saying that they're being silenced in the books they're busy promoting on big media tours? I was just thinking about that for no reason.
They're literally on the side of being pro-genocide.
A quick word about calling people pro-genocide. It's a vacuous accusal. Like, they brought this back around to Bush. It's the exact same "you want the terrorists to win" argument we heard in the mid-2000s. It's an insult intended to shut down argument that isn't even reserved for the people who say,
oh my
actually,
God,
I like the IDF killing all these people. You would be considered pro-genocide for thinking, the IDF isn't doing a good job, Netanyahu has too many conflicts of interest to effectively prosecute this war, the war crimes themselves are unconscionable, withholding aid is genocidal, but Hamas has been an ineffective and tyrannical government, and they do need to be deposed militarily if they can't be removed democratically. Like, what is the actual position here if your main cause is Israel bad
my God,
and
dude,
Palestinians good? Because it's certainly not the fighting needs to stop. It's the fighting has made me upset, and to me at least, that's the most selfish position.
My God, dude, I'm in love with this guy. This, bro, Jesus Christ.
You can have about this war.
Why can't more people just have these basic opinions? You can call out all the terrible shit without saying all the terrible shit that goes along with it. Like, it's so crazy, dude.
Prioritizing your feelings over someone else's survival. Cenk calls Kash Patel's response to Senate questioning Israeli.
They sound Israeli.
Not because Epstein is related to Israel, except for all the times you strongly implied that he is. It's Israeli because it's obviously a lie.
I mean, they sound so absurd in their denial that it sounds like the Israeli government. You're saying, oh yeah, I'm being just like all the other administrations, just like our beloved Biden, our beloved Obama.
Just the open-endedness of this stuff is what lends itself towards conspiratorial thinking. Not that these pieces of information don't come together in a pattern of egregious behavior to protect Epstein clients, but that framing it with why allows people to fill in their own answers to connect the dots.
But something happened following Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the United States, his meeting with Donald Trump. Donald Trump changed.
As the news media, it's your responsibility to frame things in a clear and concise way to provide cause and effect so that speculation doesn't get out of control.
Yeah.
What is Trump hiding?
Yeah, well, he's definitely hiding something. I genuinely don't know if he was a client or not, but...
You genuinely don't know. All the criticism of Kash Patel denying an Epstein list, and you don't know if Trump would be on it.
I mean, this is all like 1984.
Oh my God, could somebody shoot me in the face? Just take me out back and just pelt my ass, dude. Why do these guys run defense for Trump so goddamn much? Big fan of...
level propaganda. I mean, George Orwell was genius of geniuses.
That's not 1984 propaganda.
The former prime minister of Israel. The list goes on and on.
That's actually true. He's talking about Ehud Barak, prime minister in 1999.
The country's starting to get united on this issue, Epstein files. Maybe we can build off of it. Maybe we can't build off of it.
They think it's a Jewish conspiracy. You think it's an Israeli conspiracy. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that kind of unity.
If the Israelis ever hold Netanyahu accountable, it'll be a great day in world history. I wouldn't hold your breath, but it's not impossible.
So, help them? Like, you've just presented a clear through line to end the genocide, dissolve the Likud government, get the people on your side. Your entire thing has been about open debate. So try to convince them. You put more faith in MAGA to become liberal based on Epstein than you do Israelis to vote out Netanyahu.
When you hear commentary from the right about how they killed Charlie Kirk, what does they mean?
It means the left or the Jews. Usually both.
One of the things that I asked before...
Oh my God, dude. How is a news organization is present you a group of facts so that you can come to your own conclusion? Like, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to report on facts, dude. And these guys are just, they're nothing but opinion piece fucking assholes. Looks like tips touching, like sword fighting, if you will. Exactly.
Before we found out what his motive was, is if it's the Groypers, should we hate all of them? And should we attack them and generalize about them? If it turns out it's the opposite, it's the left, should we hate them and attack them? And then when you ask that question, you begin to realize how absurd it is. It's one person. And that's kind of obvious once you think it through.
You don't need Charlie Kirk's murder to hate Groypers.
Terrorism's always the...
I know, dude. Groypers are kind of disgusting, dude. That one does look like it's weird.
Dumbest thing in the world. It's like it hasn't worked since 1948.
Oh my God, he's talking about the founding of Israel.
Among the conservatives who called out Bondi was Eric.
Your recognition interpretation of this line is on point. Dude, that was a really good song, man. That song was... I really fuck with that. It's a bummer that video did not get any views. I figured Oliver Anthony, like the last song, Scornful Woman, that I did, got a fucking, like 1,000 something views. And through that is when someone's like, hey, you should go watch High Red. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll go watch that too, I guess.
Erickson, who I think has actually been a pretty reasonable member on the right.
Marxist ideology insists that men are men and women are women.
I'm sure I disagree with him on a whole host of things, but he seems to have some actual moral values, seems to care about this country. President Trump makes comments like that. It communicates to me that he doesn't care about our Constitution. He doesn't care about what makes this country great.
I'm sorry, every time I hear a criticism of Donald Trump at this point, it's like that knee reflex test you get at a doctor's office where I just go, so why didn't you vote for Harris?
You did not vote for Donald Trump. You did not vote for Kamala Harris, correct?
She did not vote for Kamala Harris? Holy fuck!
Correct.
If she gets her way, every administration is going to change it. So when you've got a Republican in charge, it's going to be hate against right-wing individuals. When Democrats get in charge, nope, that's not hate anymore. Now hate is racism, sexism, etc.
What is this argument? Like, I agree that hate speech shouldn't be banned for the greater harm that government restrictions on speech can impose, but Cenk's example is that Dems would say that racism is bad, and Republicans would say that racism is good.
All right, so then that leads to how did the right wing react? We said we were against hate speech being classified as a crime. We're still against it, even when we were in charge. And I got to tell you, you got to give him credit for that.
Oh, Cenk, I really don't.
When you stay principled, even when you're in charge. I mean, we were so worried that they were not.
What do you mean? They're shitting on freedom of speech right now. They're trying to get people canceled for jokes against Donald Trump. They're suing pollsters. They're suing networks. What? Okay.
Not going to stick to principles. They were just going to go for raw power.
What?
What?
For them to say...
Touch tips. Damn, Eric. You don't always gotta throw money this way, bro. God damn it. Well, have a good day at work, dude. We'll touch tips.
No to Pam Bondi, no to Trump on this. That's pretty great, guys.
No, it's not. It's really not. They push back because they know they don't have to actually do anything. They can just continue to support Trump, who in turn will do it anyway. Now we learn what Anna and Cenk's names mean.
Keeper of treasure.
Ooh.
Which, you know.
Sorry. Hashtag not sorry. Okay.
All right.
And as a lot of you know that have been with us for a while, Cenk means war.
After that, we go into Cenk's appearance on Piers Morgan opposite former TYT associate, Russian stooge, and soulless husk, Dave Rubin.
Do you think Charlie wanted to be martyred? Do you think Charlie wanted to be martyred? Do you think Charlie wanted to be killed? Yes or no?
Of course not. What kind of asinine question is that?
The New York Times has uncovered some of the shady business deals involving his family and his Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff.
If you're wondering whether Cenk has anything to say about Witkoff when yesterday he said that he was really trying for Middle East peace, he does not.
I'm tired of Donald Trump suing the press every time they hurt his feelings. I've been smeared by the New York Times. This is not about defending them. This is about defending the press.
But make no mistake about it, this lawsuit that Trump is filing against the New York Times is meant to intimidate them and prevent them from reporting on what he might be doing in the Oval Office, what actions he might be engaging in that could be illegal or
This is better than Hassan right here.
Back.
You know what? Good enough. I call their coverage of this story decent reporting.
And remember, it's even if you love Trump, the president isn't always going to be Trump. So next time a Democrat's in charge, where do they get the crypto money from? Israel or Saudi Arabia or China or North Korea or ExxonMobil or Bob?
I retract my previous statement.
No.
How dare you, man? You gave me hope.
So I've given this advice to Democrats and President Obama many times before. They never listen. Never agree with a Republican. They will only use it against you. During the election, the intelligence agencies come to President Obama and they say the Russians are trying to interfere in the election. It looks like they want to cause chaos. They're also against Hillary Clinton, and it appears they're in favor of Donald Trump. So what does Obama do? Instead of going out and telling everybody about that, he does what is the responsible thing to do. He calls in congressional leaders, including Republicans. And Mitch McConnell says, nothing. Don't you dare say that in public. If you say it, we'll say you're rigging the election in favor of Hillary Clinton. So Obama being, of course...
Oh, before I fall asleep, did you understand what I meant when I said I'm going to donate to the wave? When you do the challenge, I want to support my for anyone else who might watch to do the same. Oh, no, I get it. You're saying that's when you're going to donate to Wave of Change. Then this way you can say, Will's the one that threw me this way. Oh, that's actually adorable. I believe that's what you're doing. I might be... Which I'm doing that. Where Kia said we're doing that video tonight. We already planned the area and all that stuff. I was thinking about getting a green screen and putting Sam and Ren in the background. That'd have been fucking hilarious. But in the credits, it's listed as the shape. Yeah, you're talking about the pear, right?
Who he is. It's like, okay, I won't say it. So why do I bring it up today? Because Donald Trump, in his weird White House lawn discussion yesterday with the press, when asked about Russian collusion, said, oh, no, it's not me. It's Obama. In other words, because Obama listened to the Republicans and agreed with the Republicans not to tell the American people before the election that Russia was trying to help Trump, Trump now turns around and blames Obama for it. Never agree with a Republican. They will always use it against you. So Democrats, for God's sake, stop trying to look for stupid bipartisan compromises. The Republicans are not interested in compromises. How about since you're in the opposite party, you fight them instead?
God, dude, he was so unhinged back in the day, but that was mostly true.
We're over the hump. 2 days left. Hopefully the next couple of days are easy.
So joining us now is Ken Klippenstein.
Oh, fuck my cock.
I always love the fact that you're willing to publish things that other journalists or reporters are, for whatever reason, terrified to publish.
Yeah, Ken Klippenstein's Substack is super edgy. If you also believe yogurt is too spicy.
Oh, I'm saying it.
The conversation starts out mostly fine, talking about how the shooter was just an ordinary guy.
The whole thing just fell apart.
But when they get to broader politics,
the whole thing just fell apart. How often do you see Chuck Schumer getting up there and saying Donald Trump is just such an existential threat? When I see something like that, I think, okay, what is he not saying? He's not talking about other policy stuff.
You are both siding Chuck Schumer saying Trump is an existential threat and Trump using the military to blow up a Venezuelan boat, which Jane Hanna talked about yesterday as a pretense for invading Venezuela.
I see it as a cop-out in a lot of ways and useful to them to just like ratchet up rhetoric and sound like, look, I'm doing all this really exciting stuff. Trump too, when he does these, when he blows up the boat. And so since he's not actually going to fix that in a systemic way, you've got to create this theater of look how tough I'm being, just like I was talking about with the Democrats.
Don't get upset at the person doing bad stuff. Get upset at the people calling it out for saying that it's bad.
Just ringing the alarm all the time. And some people are going to take that seriously.
I mean, that's the reason why I see this as like the kayfabe, like presidency. Nothing's really real, but it's exciting and it seems like something real is happening.
This isn't some...
Why aren't you giving him pushback for essentially defending killing the people that you said was a pretense for war, that we're going to go steal oil? Like, wouldn't you be outraged? Wouldn't you be calling out that? Wouldn't... What the fuck is happening?
Profound understanding. This was happening during his first administration. Would you say the killing of Iranian General Soleimani was just kayfabe? There are dead people on a boat who you yourself said have not been identified nor confirmed as having committed any crime, extrajudicially killed in international waters, and you're comparing that to Chuck Schumer saying that's an emergency, in terms of there not being an actual emergency. This is the kind of stuff that makes me bristle when they talk about Gaza. because in every other circumstance, they show that they do not care about people getting killed if it proves they can seem above it all.
Yeah,
like the National Guard deployments. I oppose those, and I think that's bad just because it's corrosive to democratic attitudes to just see troops marching around. That being said, they're not going to do anything. This is a show.
I oppose it because it's doing something, not because it'll do something, except for all the stuff it's doing.
They don't have the rules of engagement. They don't have authority to shoot at someone. Many of the people I talk to, they're like, I'm not going to do that even if they tell me to.
Oh, so it's harmless then, because you were able to confirm anecdotally that in a situation out of a soldier's control when they're holding a weapon, no mistakes will be made and no orders will be given that actually create the pressure they need to resist as opposed to just talking about it. I am glad you've thought this through and come to this conclusion. Beautiful.
The Democrats look at that and they say, okay, look, it's a military coup is coming. They're going to overthrow the country. Very convenient for them because then they don't have to deliver on anything. They don't need to have any actual policy concessions. They can just say, look how scary the other side is.
Remember that time they actually tried that and it was quite inconvenient for them as well?
And like I said before, corrosive to democratic culture.
Stop saying corrosive to democracy as though that isn't extremely bad by itself.
Everyone benefits except the public.
What Ken's doing here by calling Trump's actions impotent isn't actually a criticism. He's telling people on the left that their worries about it are overblown. Calling the National Guard kayfabe, as though mobilizing thousands of people with guns isn't in itself an extremely serious action, makes it harder to rightfully call it out as an overreach intended to suppress democratic state resistance, even if he's also doing it to put on a show for the red states that support him. Like, a boxing match is a show, but that doesn't make a punch after the bell okay just because you should be expecting to get hit.
And like what Trump is doing is wrong. Obviously, I disagree.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. That's all it is. It's just wrong. I disagree with it, but let me go around sucking every Republican's dick that every show I go on, dude. Hell yeah, dude.
With what he's doing with deploying the National Guard as well, but the way that it's marketed by Democrats.
How should one market the president sending the National Guard into a city where they're not needed, in a state where they're not wanted, for a crime problem that doesn't exist, entirely as a show of force for their own base that ratchets up the temperature for violence that you say you wanted to bring down because of its ability to encourage someone to take matters into their own hands? Anything for that. Now, Anna praises Thomas Massie for his handling of the Epstein files in a hearing with Kash Patel. It seems like he's really acting on his principles with regards to the need to protect women from dangerous predators. Except for that time he voted against reauthorizing the Prevent Violence Against Women Act.
We got to give Massie credit for calling Kash Patel out for the lie that he told when he was testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee just yesterday. We used to have more sophisticated liars in the administration. Deciding where you land on political policy, depending on like political labels, is a good way of promoting things that might actually be destructive for your life. You know what I'm saying?
I do not.
You know,
I do not.
That's why at this point I look at both parties.
All right, you know what? Let's see if I can
promote policy depending on like political labels is side yesterday.
Okay,
we
let's
used
see
to
if I
have more
can.
sophisticated liars in the administration. Deciding where you land on political policy depending on like political labels is a good way of promoting things that might actually be destructive for your life. You know what I'm saying?
I do not.
Essentially, she's saying that those people that, because I speak retard, this is my power. She's saying people that, God damn it. She's saying people that only put out political issues that put policies. If you're putting out political policies that are only based off of your political party, that is a bad. It's so stupid because like all people typically do that. You put out the stuff your party supports. That's called politics. What? Now, I guess what she could be saying, if you're trying to have a good faith interpretation, is that if a policy comes out that you like, you should vote for it regardless of your political affiliation. If you really wanted to be as charitable as fuck, you have to do a lot of legwork to make that statement, mean that, but that's essentially what she's trying to say. If you wanted to be good faith with her, like she's not with Jews. Oh,
you know, I that's why at this point I look at both parties and I'm like, listen, I'm just going to judge on an issue by issue basis. And
you're saying this immediately after covering how the administration is covering for pedophiles because one of them said they were upset while remaining in that party.
In terms of the political elite, I think that, you know, both sides have really failed ordinary Americans.
Everything that guy just said is bullshit.
You know, the only way that Trump can really carry out a coup is if he gets the
I like when your criticism of the right is that both parties are bad. You know what I mean? Like when it's Democrats are bad. When it's the right, it's both parties are bad. Like that seems like so ridiculous.
the military to back it. And I don't think that they would. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Obligatory Israel coverage, this time about soldiers needing more help from the government to manage the psychological distress and trauma they endured from their service.
You're watching Israeli soldiers dump piles of psychiatric medications on the table during a Knesset subcommittee meeting on mental health, because it was never about getting the hostages back. A political project that Netanyahu has always wanted, which is this expansionist Greater Israel policy. And it also allows him to remain in power at a time when he's facing serious corruption charges. That's who Netanyahu is.
Before we move on from that, Anna alludes to October 7th being an inside job.
Serious examples in recent years where he was critical of, you know, some of what the Israeli government was up to. Certainly after October 7th, he went on the PBD podcast and kind of questioned whether the government allowed it to happen, whether there were stand down orders. And now we have some IDF testimony where they're claiming that they were told to stand down.
I'm not willing to cut Cenk any slack at this point that he's unaware of who Candace Owens is or what she has been saying about Charlie Kirk.
Please check out Candace Owens on the Charlie Kirk issue. She does some solid deep dives. Disrupt Daily says, Tucker says some really nice things about Cenk.
There's no way he's plugging Candace Owens. Wait, what the fuck?
To cut Cenk any slack at this point that he's unaware of who Candace Owens is or what she has been saying about Charlie Kirk.
Please check out Candace Owens on the Charlie Kirk issue. She does some solid deep dives. Disrupt Daily says, Tucker says some really nice things about Cenk.
I don't know who specifically came out and said that Bibi killed Charlie Kirk, but now that he's for the second...
What the fuck is happening, dude? Holy shit.
...time denying...
Dude, it's the horseshoe, man. I'm so glad that Israel-Palestine is the one thing that has taken the radical left and the radical right, like the actual neo-Nazis, and made them like join hands. And like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Like, I see patterns.
That he is, people are going, what's actually going on here? You're not making people feel comfortable with the fact that you keep coming out to have to deny something that certainly wasn't asserted by me on this program. Am I lying?
So the fact that he brushes past that comment is just, be better, man. Then Anna plays a clip of Benny Johnson talking to himself in the future as a lead into Jimmy Kimmel getting pulled off the air after making a joke about Kirk's assassination. Cenk thinks that it was bad to pull him.
And then my guess is Kimmel would go, oh, you're right, I get it. We shouldn't have done that, right?
I think I disagree with you.
Anna thinks there's some legitimacy due to what Kimmel said, making the right upset.
Put your...
Oh, of course she does. Of course she thinks it's okay to cancel someone. Because this is what this stupid, you know, I can't say my usual insult, dipshit does. Like, she's so been LARPing and sucking the dick of every major Republican. Like, I swear to God, in like 2 years, she's not going to have left the TYT and she's going to go work for the Daily Wire, even though they're Jewish controlled. Hey, welcome back.
In the shoes of conservatives.
Maybe there's a world where that makes sense, but it's not one where the outrage being generated was preemptively manufactured. The right has not shown any kind of good faith even about Charlie Kirk's murder, and there's no reason to think that validating that manufactured anger will do anything but enable even more manufactured anger. Then they look at new polling which suggests the Ute likes socialism more than capitalism.
What is a Ute?
Excuse me, Your Honor. Youths.
And a distaste for what a capitalistic society has led to. Giant wealth inequality, unaffordable housing, all sorts of issues that Democrats are blaming on.
Hey, the problems we are experiencing are not inherent to capitalism and can still exist under socialism.
Oh my God, finally someone says it. Oh, dude, this guy's getting a subscribe. I'm in love. I'm in love, dude. I'm fully erect right now.
People will push the limits of what they can get away with to gain any kind of advantage for themselves. A socialist society does not inherently do anything to fix that, and if anything, makes it harder to fix. That's something to wrestle with in how it's implemented. To say that capitalism as a system in itself is inherently the cause of these issues shifts the blame and therefore makes finding solutions difficult, because any kind of improvement that doesn't dissolve capitalism becomes seen as ineffective.
No, what's wrong, guys, is money in politics. Certainly, we're all.
Yes, it took 2 days, but we're back to the money in politics. This is the Young Turks I remember. These are the people that I grew up hating. Give me more. The donor class! Oh my god, dude. I love this guy. Please never change, Chink.
All against corporatism because it attacks all of us.
I agree for the most part.
Bet you get lightheaded a lot with all the boners you're Yeah, dude.
And now...
Oh, dude, I nearly pass out 90% of the time. Why do you think I'm so low energy right now, dude? You know how hard it is to recover from constant erections? Holy fuck.
Shit I can't explain that's had me spiraling since I started watching the Young Turks. Why does their website still sell merchandise that promotes social distancing and hand washing? Do they have the likeness rights to Rosa Parks, Ketanji Brown Jackson, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley to be selling shirts with their likeness according to the descriptions? Are some of the designs AI generated? Dr. Rashad Ritchie, who hosts Indisputable on the Young Turks, has 3 PhDs and invented a device that cures Alzheimer's? Why does he have an award from a website that advertises itself as having an award, with AI generated photos of people holding the award? Why don't the number of new subscribers on the separate join pages sync up? Why do they have a Substack when the owner is extremely right-wing? Why is there nothing to indicate on the main website that the Young Turks has an advertising department that's operated by Cenk's former presidential campaign manager, who runs a PAC that paid for 2 of the advertisements?
Oh, yes, dude. Oh, God. Who are we watching? Some dude named Conduit. He did a video making fun of Hassan when he had 13 subscribers, and I didn't even finish that one, but it was beautiful. I used that video to show my girlfriend who Hassan is. It was like a earth-shattering event. She's like, you talk so much shit about this one guy. Who is Hassan? I was like, well, either we can watch this one or we can watch the context nuke. What do you want to do? What do you want? Like, god damn. Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Join pages sync up. Why do they have a Substack when the owner is extremely right-wing? Why is there nothing to indicate on the main website that the Young Turks has an advertising department that's operated by Cenk's former presidential campaign manager, who runs a PAC that paid for 2 of the advertisements, according to the descriptions on the YouTube videos and FEC disclosures? Why did Cenk accept sponsorship from a coffee company that promised to donate to progressive causes that happen to all be operated, affiliated with, or owned by Cenk? Why does that coffee site list about $22,000 raised for those causes, but only a
Wait a second, dude. So he owns the companies that are donating to him? Bro!
little less than 10% of that can be accounted for in FEC disclosures.
Oh my god, dude. So they raised 22,000 and only donated 2,000? No, dude, not even 2,000. Holy fuck. Oh shit.
Why does it look like that coffee site stopped updating in 2022 with no announcement based on complaints on the TYT forum? Why are the Young Turks sponsored by Chapter, a Medicare assistance program that was founded by Vivek Ramaswamy? What did they
wait. So they wait. So they got funding from Vivek, and that's also around the time Anna started making her right-wing drift? Hold on. Oh shit, I don't know who this guy, hold on, bro. I'm freaking the fuck out right now. Oh, they're all the things they preach. All the things they preach. Oh.
It stopped updating in 2022 with no announcement based on complaints on the TYT forum. Why are the Young Turks sponsored by Chapter, a Medicare assistance program that was founded by Vivek Ramaswamy? Why did they accept sponsorship by Polymarket, which got a large investment from Peter Thiel? Why did Cenk have such an extended relationship with Joseph Sandberg, former CEO of Aspiration Bank, before the bank declared bankruptcy and Sandberg pled guilty to wire fraud this past August? Why did Cenk run for president and raise almost $500,000 despite being constitutionally ineligible? I nearly lost my mind trying to answer most of these questions. If there's
oh my god.
Anyone out there watching this who can in some form shed any light on this, please, my sanity is fading. I need to know what's going on. Day 4 is the last.
Oh my god, I gotta read these comments real quick. Remember, Conduit is not suicidal. May the algorithm gods be kind. Fuck yes, dude. Oh my god.
Sea of Jank, unfortunately. And for a few days following that, the Young Turks had substitute hosts for their main show. So we're just going to skip all that and jump to the next appearance of Anna, which, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, is the show following up Jillian Michaels' departure from Her Take.
Man, it is good to be back. It really, really is. This is my home. This is where I love to share the news.
So Jillian Michaels walked off the set of Her Take. I don't want to mischaracterize Anna here, so
I have no idea about this.
Will say that she is very insistent that Charlie Kirk was not killed by Israel.
I do not believe that there is any evidence drawing a direct connection between Charlie Kirk's assassination and Israel.
And that the issue she was trying to discuss was Zionist donor pressure on Charlie Kirk due to his criticism of Israel. I'm glad she explicitly calls out Kirk getting killed by Israel as a baseless conspiracy theory. Her chat doesn't believe her. I'd like to specifically call out that by minute 30, I have seen 4 spammed comments literally about the protocols of the Elders of Zion, an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory about Jews running the world, that were left unmoderated.
He felt that he was being smeared as an anti-Semite, which he clearly wasn't.
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it.
This is not about Jews, as I've said a billion times before. There is also an intentional conflation of Israel and Jewish people in general. And that's done intentionally to smear anyone who dares to be critical of Israel as an anti-Semite. Today it was reported that, and this is by Max Blumenthal, by the way, he's naming names.
You're using Max Blumenthal. Russian Times, Sputnik, Max Blumenthal. The Israeli army actually killed all those civilians. Max Blumenthal as a source here.
Ultra-Zionist billionaire Robert Shillman, I kid you not, that is his name.
Always with the names. From there, we get an unintentionally hilarious segue into the next story.
We'll get to the news. We'll get to the really important matters of the day, including Trump basically listing people he doesn't like as terrorists in the country. We'll be right back.
So Trump has decided to label Antifa a terrorist organization, despite it not having any kind of structural organizing behind it.
So this really does remind me of the excesses we saw from...
It's, man... So they're right that Antifa does not have, like, a party, per se. But we all know that Antifa people were doing terrorist attacks when they were doing the things they were doing. Like, dude, I remember Antifa from 2016 all the way to, like, 2021. They were doing terrorist bullshit. They may not have a leader, but holy fuck, dude. These people went out and terrorized people for their for their own particular political ideology. There's like a did you guys ever see the video of a woman talking to a dude and she the dude drop kicked her? And they were talking about abortion or some shit? Like, holy fuck, man. Like, the left did go a little crazy, guys. We can never forget. We must not like memory hold the crazy shit the left did. Because if we do, then we're no better than Republicans. The left did crazy shit for like about 6 years.
The federal government in the aftermath of 9/11. Terrorist attack on U.S. soil. Thousands of innocent Americans died as a result of Al-Qaeda's attack. And people...
I don't know. It was like some dorky guy. I think it was even a pregnant lady. Hold on. Let me see here if I can find it. Pro-life man kicks pregnant woman. I think that's what it was. Yeah, dude. This is fucking wild. This is fucking wild.
What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time.
Cool.
That's why I say kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey.
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone is raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone.
I meant to kick your phone. Oh my god, dude. That shit was hilarious, dude. So like, dude, people on the left were fucking crazy, dude. Oh, like, bro, I remember the left doing crazy shit. Oh, holy fuck, dude. I want to do that. I want to go back through and do a deep dive in all the fucking things that radicalized me over the years.
People are scared. And when people are scared, when people are angry, that's the perfect opportunity for, you know, the federal government and authoritarian figures within the federal government with authoritarian tendencies to take full advantage. And that's what I believe Trump is doing here.
And here's where you can see the crystallization of why I called out Anna's unintentional slips on prior days. When she's about to call Trump an authoritarian, she pulls it back. And in case that might seem like a one-off, she uses that specific phrase, authoritarian tendencies, to describe other world leaders. And then she equates it with the hypothetical of being upset at Biden if he crapped down on protesters too by saying the people who protested lockdowns had a right to?
Because I remember when, you know, the shutdowns had happened during COVID, and there were plenty of conservative protesters who were peacefully.
Well, yeah, no, but it was the defense the radical left took. Like, here's another one that was really wild. I totally spelled that wrong. God damn it. Hold on. Kavanaugh kids. There we go. Fuck. I can't remember. Fuck, dude. So anyway, there was like a... Oh, MAGA. Oh, how about that? Is it in here? No. Anyway, there was like this one time where like a group of kids went to like the Washington Monument or something. There was a couple kids. They were like little 16-year-old white boys. And there was like a native guy who was there like protesting like the White House for like native things, who was like in his 50s. Anyway, this kid was sitting there and this native guy got up in this kid's face, pounding the war drum, screaming at the kid because he was wearing a Make America Great Again hat. Bro, and then like the news reported on the kid was like assaulting this like native man when it was actually like the opposite. Like people just assumed because he was wearing a MAGA hat that the kid was going around terrorizing Native Americans. But like the Native American guy, who's a 55-year-old man, got into the face of a 16-year-old kid and was like screaming at him. And the kid was just sitting there like fucking stone-faced. And like for like a week or two, the news was reporting that the kid was a white supremacist, super MAGA. Like it was crazy. And we saw the same thing around with the Rittenhouse stuff. Like, holy shit.
Protesting.
Despite the fact that, you know, the lockdowns were under Trump.
So I had no problem with people protesting the shutdowns. And those people
True.
were predominantly right-wing. But the impotency of this specific order does not mean that we shouldn't be concerned about Trump's decision.
You agreed with Ken Klippenstein yesterday that the National Guard in cities was kayfabe to distract people on par with
True.
Democrats calling him a dictator. Why would you consider this to be any different?
True.
One tactic has been to target the tax-exempt status of nonprofits. I actually don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you. I think nonprofits should be investigated far more than they have been.
I have no idea what Anna thinks 501c3 organizations are because there are about 1.5 million of them in this country as of 2022. And giving this administration more power to go after them is guaranteed to cause problems because they're not going to target churches advocating for Trump. They're going to focus on charities that help people get abortions or provide housing to LGBT kids when their parents kick them out.
And so you either believe in our Constitution and you believe in protecting everyone's right, or you don't. And if you don't believe in that, then you don't believe in our Constitution. You don't believe in what this country stands for.
True.
So I guess we're going to have to wait and see how this really plays out. Leaders, and this isn't just about America, leaders worldwide who tend to have authoritarian tendencies, the real strong men, tend to have the thinnest skin, don't they?
You can just call them authoritarian.
So say it. Say what? Say the word you want to say. I'm not saying that I want to say it. I'm just saying that I can't. Sure you can. Say it. Say it right now. I will say it with you. Okay.
And you shouldn't allow tragic events in this country to be exploited by any politicians, any political leaders for their own agenda. And
I'm sorry, guys. I hate to say this, but if a black guy does that to me on the spot, I'm going to say the word. Like, you can't give me a free pass to say it on national TV. Like, I would have done it in an instant. I don't give a fuck about the consequences. Give me that opportunity. Come on, bro.
Political means. And that's what's happening right now.
For some reason, I'm going to give Anna some credit here and say that she doesn't mean literally everything, given how people already politicize things like school shootings.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Tucker Carlson's 9/11 special.
Oh, God.
There's this repeated belief Cenk and Anna have that when they go on conservative media, they're bringing along their ideology to a new audience that they can hopefully convince.
Oh, my God, dude, yes. They do this all the time. They're like, well, I go there and I combat ideas. Dog, you just agree with them the whole time you're there and shit on Democrats.
From an honest perspective, like what the left actually thinks on some of these issues.
But they're not there to be debated. They're brought on to be a punching bag. Debate on those platforms is not an effective means of communicating to those audiences. I can't prove it, but Anna's description of Tucker's 9/11 special reads like ad copy.
No, I'm going to admit that for the longest time, when people would say, oh, 9/11 was an inside job, I'd like roll my eyes. Like, what the hell?
Oh, no.
Does that even mean? And I don't think that our government orchestrated 9/11. I don't think that they did something or planned.
Gotta love you and leave you. Have a great day and night, peeps. Be safe. Party hard.
And to slaughter 3,000 American citizens on September 11th, 2001. Okay? But I encourage you to watch the entire episode.
You! So are you gonna... Yes, I'm gonna do it!
Osama bin Laden was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to a wealthy and well-connected family. Osama left his education in 1979 to fight in Afghanistan against the Soviets. He formed Al-Qaeda with other veterans of the war after it ended in 1988. They were extremely religiously conservative, and their goal was to bring about an Islamic caliphate in the Middle East. After Saudi Arabia rejected bin Laden's help to fight Iraq during the Gulf War, where they instead accepted U.S. support, bin Laden declared a jihad on both Saudi Arabia and the U.S. He was subsequently expelled from Saudi Arabia and disowned by his family, eventually setting up a base of operations in Afghanistan with support of the Taliban. Between 1991 and 2001, Al-Qaeda commits several terrorist attacks against the United States and others. Notes found in 2011 during the raid that killed bin Laden outline his initial planning of the September 11th attacks. The inspiration came from a pilot in 1999 who intentionally crashed their plane. Bin Laden would finance the eventual hijackers coming to America and receiving flight lessons. While multiple American intelligence agencies were tracking Al-Qaeda members, including ones that came to the United States, bureaucratic barriers and interdepartmental reluctance meant that there was no fully coordinated effort to handle them. During the 9/11 Commission, this was specifically brought up and called out. On September 11th, 2001, hijackers smuggled knives and box cutters through security and boarded cross-country flights on the East Coast that would be loaded with fuel. 2 planes would be flown into the World Trade Center Center, and one plane would hit the Pentagon. A fourth, United Flight 93, crashed before it could hit any potential target, the passengers having fought back against the hijackers. While the fires in the towers were not hot enough to outright melt the steel structure, they were able to significantly weaken their integrity, and along with the physical damage caused by the planes, it was enough to cause their eventual collapse. They fell straight down because they're fucking buildings. The upper towers that buckled the floors beneath them didn't have enough force acting on them from the outside, and the angle of the damage within them could not heave their massive size to fall at a sharper angle. Professional demolitions, you see, don't just collapse inwards because of the way the explosives are planted. Part of the professional expertise is to make sure that the subsequent rubble isn't blasted outward, which, if you couldn't tell by the plume of smoke and rubble, the collapse of the Twin Towers very much did. Building 7 across the street from the World Trade Center collapsed because the building caught fire and burned for hours. Though a passport from a hijacker was found some blocks from the World Trade Center and was delivered to the police, it was not found directly on top of the rubble of Building 7. All you need to do is look at the references on Wikipedia to know that the information Anna is talking about in Tucker Special has been known for almost 20 years at this point.
I think it was informative. It was backed up by documentation that was provided by Tucker Carlson. Definitely watch it for yourself.
After that, Anna talks about Trump's speech at the UN.
Questioned the point of the UN and even tore into European countries for their...
And blames Israel for the refugee crisis in the Middle East and North Africa.
The president of the United States is under the impression that the U.S. can aid and abet Israel in destabilizing Muslim and Arab countries in the Middle East and in Africa, and then essentially lead to a massive refugee crisis, which ends up getting absorbed by Europe. And then we go ahead and we mock Europe about it.
Again, even when Trump got his first ceasefire deal and there were supposed to be multiple phases.
Trump did not get that ceasefire deal. Trump was not in office. It would have been illegal for them to negotiate with him. It would have been the equivalent of Reagan saying that Iran should hold on to the hostages so that he could win the election against Carter. That peace deal was one of Biden's last acts as president, and everybody on the far left gave Trump credit for it.
But the U.S. is fully
That's true, actually,
captured
bro.
by the Israeli government. They're trying to get the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. And in the meantime, they're occupying southern Lebanon. And I mean, they just killed 4 American citizens in Lebanon. That was a story that broke yesterday. It got no attention. You know, there were some publications that wrote about it. 4 American citizens, 3 of them were children. And I want to be very clear, Israel, meaning the Israeli government, not the people, because the people have been protesting. They do care about the hostages. The government of Israel doesn't care about the hostages. And I find it hard to believe that there are still 20 living Israeli hostages in Gaza. Don't pretend like this is about the hostages. Israel has bombed several other countries that have nothing to do with Hamas. They're annexing the West Bank, has nothing to do with Hamas. It's just lies.
It's giving Mike from PA at this point.
The founding charter for the Likud party specifically, it specifies that the goal for the party is to pursue the Greater Israel Project. And all of those surrounding Arab countries with governments that are essentially deferential to Israel at the moment. I mean, Israel's been bombing your country too. You're going to sit there and take it. It's amazing. But Lebanon, go ahead and disarm Hezbollah. See how that works out for you. I'm sure Israel will play nice.
So are you gonna... Yes, I'm gonna do it!
Hezbollah was founded in 1982 after the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. They had a strong affinity for the Iranian Revolution and Islamic...
God damn. Okay, let's do it.
Sure, Israel will play nice.
So are you gonna... Yes, I'm gonna do it!
Hezbollah was founded in 1982 after the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. They had a strong affinity for the Iranian Revolution and Islamic governance. With the support of the IRGC, Iran's army, they received training and unified the different factions in Lebanon, eventually outlining their mission as the destruction of Israel, kicking the U.S. out of the Middle East, and establishing an Islamic caliphate. They commit several terrorist attacks across the world, bombings, hijackings, and assassinations. After the end of the Lebanese civil war, Hezbollah shifts towards becoming a political organization. In 1992, members run for public office and win. Hezbollah receives funding and weapons from Iran for their opposition to Israel, and their control of southern Lebanon splits the country. In 2006, Hezbollah engages in skirmishes with the IDF in order to take hostages they can exchange for Lebanese prisoners in Israel. Israel responds by invading Lebanon for a third time. In 2009, the United States determines Hezbollah is connected to global drug trafficking. In 2012, Hezbollah joins the Syrian civil war on the side of Bashar al-Assad. during which time over 600,000 people are killed, including with starvation and chemical weapons. On October 8th, Hezbollah follows the October 7th Hamas attacks with rocket fire and artillery shelling in northern Israel. Tens of thousands are forced to evacuate for months due to the continuous barrage. Israel eventually responds with a fourth invasion of Lebanon, preceded by multiple attacks, including the activation of explosives hidden in the pagers of thousands of Hezbollah militants, and airstrikes that kill Hezbollah's leader at the time, Hassan Nasrallah. Though the pager attack only results in a small number of civilian casualties, the airstrikes kill hundreds. Syrians, upon hearing about the death of Nasrallah, celebrate in the streets. By November 2024, a ceasefire is outlined and the Lebanese army, along with the UN and Israeli intelligence, embarks on the full disarmament of Hezbollah. Israel does not meet goals outlined for IDF withdrawal in the coming months, however the land they occupy is not annexed.
But I obviously fully agree with you. I don't think there's any indication that Israel assassinated Charlie Kirk. You can't be throwing out theories like that because it just makes anyone who is legitimately critical of Israel, and they have receipts to back it up, sound like they're part of like a kooky group of conspiracy theorists. And in this case...
Then we're on to Congressman Josh Gottheimer appearing on CNN to criticize Zohran Mamdani, and concludes the truth behind the criticism is that Mamdani doesn't support Israel.
Okay, the fact that he is not willing to be deferential to the needs and wants of a foreign government is the issue.
Then she says that him and anyone else who has accepted donations from Israel are captured.
Effectively bribed by the Israel lobby are captured by that foreign government.
Jesus
Josh Gottheimer happens to be one of them.
And Anna takes the time to misunderstand why people have a problem with globalize the Intifada.
It doesn't automatically mean that you're looking to engage in violent political action.
Again, the Second Intifada saw over 100 suicide bombings of targets like cafes and buses before we get to any of the other violence that occurred.
It's a little bit unfair. I think to the Spanish people who came up with that cuisine, I don't know.
Infatadas is...
But that's the last story. Sometimes they end on a big dramatic swing. Sometimes they just kinda...
Hey guys, this is a story that, actually two stories that came out, and I hate that it's become normalized so that we don't even cover it that much, so I'm trying to fix that. One is about Al Green, but he did a town hall recently where he played some recordings of people who'd called in, who, when we cover these issues, the right wing says, oh, you're bringing up race. No, I'm pretty sure that those callers were bringing up race. We're supposed to brush that off, I guess, but why? And so it's easy for you sitting at home, no matter who you are and where you are on the political spectrum, to say, Al Green shouldn't sweat it when they talk about lynching him. But you might have a different perspective if you were Al Green. It's not like there hasn't been violence done to Democratic legislators by right-wingers, including recently. You say that's just anecdotal. First of all, anecdotal to you, again, a little bit more concerned if you're Al Green. When you ask Republicans, do you believe Obama was born in the U.S.? You know, Bernie Sanders has said this in the past, it's a great point. His father's from Poland originally, but nobody ever questions whether Bernie Sanders was born in the U.S. And there's Bernie Sanders, Obama, both progressives. In Obama's case, kind of. 39% of Republicans, even after Trump admitted that he was lying about it. So unfortunately, it affects a huge percentage of the Republican Party. And then the most extreme elements are the ones here talking about lynching and murdering black people. It's also Republican politicians. So there's a Republican member of the Mississippi House of Representatives. His name is Carl Oliver. If the, and I use the term extremely loosely, quote, leadership of Louisiana wishes to, in the a Naziist fashion, ironic, burn books or destroy historical monuments of our history, they should be, and this is capitalized, lynched. It is a trend worth noting. Doesn't mean that every Republican believes it. It certainly doesn't mean every Republican politician believes it. But there are some conservatives out there now openly talking about lynching black people. And so we should not normalize that. We should not accept it. We should call it out for what it is. So call it what it is and understand what we're dealing with here.
Marshall McLuhan was a media theorist who coined the phrase, "the medium is the message." What this means is that the way you convey a message determines how that message is received and contextualizes it beyond the words themselves. For example, whether a popular streamer is charismatic or interesting, their popularity conveys a message of importance that compels people to continue listening to them, even as they're waiting, potentially for hours, to hear something entertaining or informative. Their reputation creates an expectation for an eventual result. A handwritten letter you receive in the mail will hold greater sentimentality than a text message. Imagine two people in the 60s spending all night feeding quarters into a payphone so they can just talk to each other about nothing.
True.
The difficulty, sincerity, and appreciation represented in the tools we use to communicate determine the value of the communication as much as the communication itself. By presenting as progressives, the Young Turks can say whatever they want, even if it contradicts the principles and standards of those belief systems, and it will be taken as adhering to them because the baseline of the communication is that what you are receiving should be progressivism. As their audience loses the communication skills necessary to espouse their political beliefs, the resulting cognitive dissonance makes it so the shortest path to resolving their own belief system becomes the removal of barriers to implementing it, rather than doing the work to convince people. There's something I call the theory doom spiral that I've alluded
Yo, my mind is getting butt fucked right now. This is wild, dude.
To in my previous videos. When your strongest ideological belief becomes the complete removal of externalities or consequences, the inevitable conclusion is that any action you choose to take is an immoral one. There are two paths that diverge from this perspective. One is to lock yourself in a room and choose to do nothing so that you can affect nothing. The other is to make it so no one else's choices can have the negative externalities you want to prevent. In short, totalitarianism. Not just the kind you might want to implement from this perspective, but the kind you start to see in the way that your beliefs are no longer represented in the way the world functions.
We have lost our democracy.
As you see one negative externality after another affecting people in ways that seem obviously preventable. Depending on how closely you pay attention to this stuff, it might seem out of pocket for me to say that the connection between the opposite ends of the political horseshoe is anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, especially when Cenk nor Tucker have directly said, "It's the Jews." But what are the conspiracies they actually traffic in? Israel controls the government. The people in charge are ignoring you. The government doesn't work.
Yes!
None of your representatives represent you.
And we see what that kind of thinking has done to people. The black pill isn't nihilism, it's burnout. Burnout people on the fringes are more likely to experience from the aggressiveness of their allies, the success of their enemies, and the high bar for success set by people like Hassan and Mike and Cenk and Anna.
I don't know.
Cenk has been using the same script for the last 20 years. Both parties are corrupt, the rich control everything, and voting doesn't do anything until it does.
Yes, the Republicans are dirty and corrupt as it gets, but so are the Democrats.
But now he's come up against a wall because what everyone else already figured out is that this time it's real.
See that? I just shot my foot. And it's real!
Cenk cried wolf pack too many times, and now the flock is being eaten. Our democracy is in danger. The people in charge aren't listening. And it turns out it wasn't both sides doing it. It was just one.
No. He has no intention of changing a damn thing.
For the last 30 plus years at this point, a lot of people have been able to live comfortable lives on the aesthetic of rebellion that you could tune in and tune out of without having to deal with any direct consequences. Media has allowed us to outsource our responsibility to stay informed, and alternative media has outsourced the burden of maintaining social cohesion. But now those burdens have gotten much heavier, and the people who need help moving them have gotten a lot louder.
Oh my god, bro. This video is everything I needed.
Talking about Republicans and Democrats as the same when Republicans are out of power is a much different experience from when the Republicans are in power. Suddenly you remember the years of the Democratic administration as significantly more stable.
You look like you've had a bad day.
Tell me about it.
Well, you came in here looking like crap and haven't said very much.
You can say that again.
Well, you came in here looking like crap and you haven't said very much.
Hey, tell me about it.
Well, you came in here looking like crap and you haven't said very much.
Yeah, say that again.
Well, you came in here looking like crap and you haven't said very much.
Okay, we get the point.
You see a fresh update on culture wars you didn't know people had the energy to fight. You thought Democrats needed to do a better job of convincing you. But Republicans should have already done that. And why didn't they seem as bad? Why were they exactly the same as Democrats? Because people like Cenk and Anna have been telling you that.
The media diet they've created for fucking 20 to 30 years. We've heard it nonstop that both sides are just as bad as one another. And it's not fucking true.
99 out of 10 times he's a liar. He got money.
This is why I push back in Ren's music when he says things like what does he say? The politicians are bought and paid for. It's like, no, dude. A mass majority of them aren't. There are a handful that are, and then ruin the experience.
Money to lie to you.
InfoWars told you 9/11 was an inside job. And the Young Turks told you that Democrats and Republicans are beholden to the same people, and that 9/11 could have been an inside job.
I don't know.
Everything is a conspiracy, nothing is by accident. A comfortable lie that the chaos we experience is actually being guided by some unseen force.
But peace, nonetheless.
Insert religious symbol as metaphor here. It wasn't just 30 years of right-wing media turning people's brains to soup. It was the
Yes!
left-wing media too. People outsourced their need to think, and the result is that everyone is being fed the strongest emotions that will convince you to watch advertisements and sell merchandise. Consequences be damned.
You cannot rely on the federal government. They're the bad guys.
Cenk is right about the media, but for the wrong reason, and he's the proof. He isn't being paid to not talk about Israel, and yet when Israel comes up, he isn't actually saying anything his audience doesn't already believe. It's the same feedback loop as Piers Morgan, or Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro debating college students. The chemical urge in your brain for salt, fat, and sugar brings you back to McDonald's. The chemical urge for unanimity brings you back to political debate.
They're not listening. You think we're having a debate in this country?
Cenk clings to the edgy veneer of being a professional news show on YouTube, but his main sponsor is a Medicare assistance line owned by Vivek Ramaswamy. He is political fast food, corporate media paid for by companies with significant ties to Republicans, presented on a website operated by one of the largest tech companies in the world. The ability for anyone to post a video on YouTube themselves doesn't change that. As his critiques of both sides become harder to justify, the pattern becomes more obvious. He isn't trying to inform. He's trying to convey a vibe, and that vibe is no longer comforting people the way it used to, now that the consequences are real. Hopefully with upcoming elections, Republicans will be pushed back out of power, and when that happens, the cycle will continue of setting grand expectations so that when disillusionment and disappointment set back in, they can lure you right back with the safety of a Democratic administration to accept that same rhetoric about inaction. Cenk talks about
Oh my God!
politicians doing nothing. But his argument is that we should do nothing, that we bear no responsibility for the society that we live in. It's the job of politicians to helm society, and we're just along for the ride. That's why there are no consequences for our own actions. Why he can say we've lost our democracy well before Donald Trump was even in the 2015 Republican primary. It is
Oh my God, for years this asshole's done this shit, dude. For years. And now, like, he can't come out and scream it anymore because, like, no one cares. Like, we've heard the song and dance before. And the crazy thing is now with Donald Trump is doing it the worst, he's the quietest one in the room. Holy fuck.
Simultaneously a justification for and a criticism of a conspiracy of elites. Do you see how dangerous that is? Do you see what that has resulted in? Republican victories are printed in money, but Democratic victories are printed in blood, and at this point, there is no argument otherwise. Compare total lives lost that could theoretically have been prevented if we had just had a different administration. COVID, Hurricane Maria, the Great Recession, the Iraq War. If you could go back in time, would you stop Trump from getting reelected? Would you stop him from getting elected the first time? Would you tell people in 2010 that keeping a congressional majority to avoid Republican census control will make getting future legislation easier? Would you tell people to vote for Kerry in 2004? Would you tell people to vote for Gore instead of Bush? We've been going around like this for decades, and we know looking back where the inflection points were. They were in the ballot boxes. Now pretend you're you 25 years in the future, looking back and wondering what political defeats could have been prevented if there was just more shared civic responsibility among those most politically knowledgeable. And then listen when they tell you that casting a vote is easier than unpolluting a river.
This guy is getting a fat fucking subscribe, dude. I never even finished the Hassan one. All right, well, Ren's going to have a new video here in 1 hour. I'm going to jump off here, get ready for some lunch, and I'll be back in for the Ren thing, and I'll probably stream it live, dude. Though, go watch Ren. Do not watch my channel. Watch Ren's thing live first. We don't take any viewers from the original. And then all that jazz. So I'll be back in about 30 minutes, but I'll see you guys in about an hour after you watch it on Ren's official page. All right? We don't take views from the original. All right? I don't want to see a single one of you in my chat until afterwards, and you guys could watch when I upload it tonight. All right, I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Peace.